Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Hokage, forged into a god, gifted sword at the beginning white Fang. Chapter 21. While Naraku was observing Tsunade, Tsunade was also observing the person in front of her. Naraku is now 1.7 meters tall, with a tall and straight figure, like a poplar. The loose robe covered his body, but it did not reduce his elegance at all, but made his temperament even more outstanding. His face was chiseled, and he was handsome with a touch of unruliness. The black pupils are full of depth, making people unable to help but fall deeply into them. The corners of his mouth were raised slightly, revealing a faint smile. Even if Tsunade is not a love brain, when Tsunade is in her youth, looking at Naraku in front of her under the influence of hormones, she still feels like she has been there for eternity. Naraku, who is only 8 years old now, will not be affected by hormones. He looked a little blushing and said to Tsunade, "Tsunade-sama, is Naoki at home?" Tsunade also reacted quickly and said, "The rope tree is here, who are you?" "Just call me Naraku," Naraku replied with a smile. Tsunade searched the memories in her mind and didn't know who this Naraku was. The only thing she knew was an 8-year-old kid named Naraku. She heard that he was very good at forging. "You come in first, I'll call the rope tree." Tsunade invited Naraku in. Now Shu looked at Naraku in front of him with a confused look on his face. This guy doesn't know anything either. "Nisaki, I am Naraku, the Naraku who created Kurichimanji." Naraku could only remind him again. Now Shu asked Naraku directly, "Master Naraku, how did you grow so tall in 6 months?" "Secret, this is not important. Naoki, I want to build a powerful weapon. I may need the help of your teacher Orochimaru-sama." Naraku did not directly answer Naoki's question but stated his needs. The rope tree did not hide anything and told Naraku that Orochimaru was out on a mission and it might take a long time to come back. Naraku remembered that the Second Ninja War would begin next year, and guessed that Orochimaru should go to the Konoha border. No wonder Orochimaru killed 2 Iwagakure ninjas before. "Master Naraku, why do you need teacher Orochimaru's help?" "Can I help?" Naoki asked. Naraku said, "I am going to forge a powerful ninja tool for you. This ninja tool can provide the owner with strong defense and other combat power increases. But it needs to add a terrifyingly powerful creature as a material. I need someone to help. I subdued the creature. This creature has strong adaptability and vitality, and cannot be subdued by ordinary ninjas. It even requires this ninja to master the powerful sealing techniques." Tsunade naturally knew about Naraku's forging skills. Now that Naraku forged this powerful ninja tool for her brother, she naturally stood up and said, "Can I do it?" Naraku nodded and shook his head. "Of course Tsunade-sama can, but it is not enough. But it is best to find another strong person to help." "Tsunade-sama, can you find him?" Naraku originally wanted to find Hitachi Sakumo, but unfortunately Hitachi Sakumo was not in the village. Tsunade was also a little disapproving. Although her current strength was not as good as Sarutobi-sensei, she was still at the top of Konoha. "If you can't even do it yourself, isn't the creature you need a tailed beast?" But since Naraku said so, she was going to find Jiraiya. Although the nearest Jiraiya is not in the village, Tsunade knows that he is still in the land of fire, so she only needs to contact Jiraiya. It can be reached in half a day depending on Jiraiya's speed. The next day, the forest outside Konoha. Naraku, Naoki, Tsunade and Jiraiya were walking in the forest. "Row tree. Master Naraku, where is that dangerous creature?" Naraku looked at the empty space in front of him and said, "It can be here." "Tsunade-sama, Toad Sage, are you ready?" Tsunade nodded and said, "I want to see what kind of dangerous creature it is." Jiraiya shivered and said, "What dangerous creatures am I, Toad Sage Jiraiya, afraid of?" Naraku silently chanted in his heart to release Golden Special Dragon Dangerous Species Tyrant live. Bite. Golden Special Dragon Danger Species Tyrant live has been released. With a roar, a strange creature appeared. The creature's head is shaped like a kangaroo's head, but its entire face is very ferocious. It has 6 eyes, 2 larger main pupils and 4 smaller secondary pupils, all of which are bright red, like burning flames, revealing a kind of bloodthirsty that makes people shudder. The mouth is densely packed with sharp fangs. It has a strong build and is covered with black hair. The limbs are thick and the palms have sharp claws. Additionally, the creature appears to have some spikes or protrusions on its back and tail. Overall, this creature feels bloodthirsty, powerful, and mysterious. Naraku hurriedly pulled the rope tree and left the scene quickly, leaving the battlefield to Tsunade and Jiraiya. Jiraiya and Tsunade also looked solemn, and they felt the pressure of the creatures at the top of the food chain brought by Tyrant. The two of them immediately bit off their fingers and slapped them on the ground. Spirituality. 2 huge smoke flashed past, and 2 behemoths appeared on the battlefield. Tsunade said, "Katsuyu-sama. Please." Katsuyu said in a girl's voice, "Okay, Tsunade-sama." Bunta was surprised and said, "Jiraiya, what the hell is this? It looks so ugly." Jiraiya, "Boss, this thing mainly has strong vitality. Just be careful and get on it." Wentai also pulled out his long sword. Tyrant came to the ninja world and quickly adapted to the environment of the ninja world with her strong adaptability. Over time, it also feels natural energy. Massive amounts of natural energy are being poured into its body. This rough influx of natural energy makes its body stronger. It will become more powerful over time. Although Jiraiya has not yet fully mastered Sage Mode, he can still feel the powerful natural energy integrating into Tyrant's body, and he is secretly complaining in his heart. Tsunade didn't know this and directly ordered Katsuyu, "Carry out an acid attack." Katsuyu puffed up his mouth and spat out a large mouthful of acid, which landed on Tyrant. Tyrant, who was frantically devouring natural energy, naturally had no time to dodge, and a large amount of corrosive acid immediately splashed onto it. The hair on Tyrant's body was corroded immediately, but its hard skin was resisting the corrosion, and this resistance brought it great pain. Tyrant then roared again. This time the roar seemed to be assisted by natural energy. The performance is very powerful. Everyone present was shocked by the roar with a little bit of natural energy and covered their ears. Remember, Tyrant's vitality is very strong. She has strong adaptability. It is very likely that the same attack or similar attacks will have less and less effect on it or even be ineffective. So we must attack fiercely. Naraku shouted. "Road." Hearing Naraku's words, Jiraiya and Tsunade felt even more troublesome. As time goes by, massive amounts of natural chakra continue to gather in Tyrant's body, and Tyrant's size continues to grow, from the previous 7 meters tall to 10 meters. Jiraiya naturally discovered this situation and said to Tsunade, "Hurry up, that thing is constantly getting stronger." He turned around and ordered Wentai again, "Use a knife." Bunta jumped high and then slashed Tyrant's neck with a knife. Tsunade on the other side once again ordered Katsuyu to use acid attack. This time Tyrant seemed to finally have some clarity and jumped to avoid Bunta's knife, but was hit by Katsuyu's acid again. This time it didn't roar, but ran away into the distance. Tsunade and Jiraiya naturally would not allow such a dangerous species to escape, and drove the psychic beast to chase them. However, Tyrant seemed to disappear for a moment. The two of them clearly saw it escaping into the woods, but they couldn't find any trace of it. Logically speaking, it is almost impossible for Tyrant, who is 10 meters tall, to hide himself, but Jiraiya, who is standing above Gamabunta, suddenly has his hair standing on end. A feeling of extreme danger surged into his heart, as if a sharp blade was hanging above his head and might fall at any time. This feeling made Jiraiya start forming ninjutsu without hesitation. He mobilized the chakra in his body, causing his long silver hair to instantly become as hard as iron, and quickly wrapped around his body, forming a solid shield to prepare for the coming attack. At the same time, Wentai also noticed something was wrong. It waved the weapon in its hand and tried to attack the invisible enemy. However, at this moment, Tyrant suddenly waved its huge claws and clawed at Wentai fiercely. Hearing a Kaila sound, a deep claw mark suddenly appeared on Wentai's arm, and blood poured out from it. Jiraiya was not spared. He was also knocked away by Tyrant's claws, and his body drew an arc in the air before falling heavily to the ground. When Tsunade saw this scene, her eyes froze, and chakra surged crazily in her body. A powerful chakra converges on the fist. Then, she suddenly waved her fist, with fierce momentum and a harsh sound of breaking through the air, and hit the dangerous Tyrant hard. There was a loud, bang, sound, and Tyrant was shot out like a cannonball. His body drew an arc in the air, and then hit the ground heavily dozens of meters away. A big pit suddenly appeared on the ground, filled with smoke and dust. Tyrant's body continued to slide forward under the influence of inertia, breaking thick trees. Finally, it stopped and lay on the ground in a miserable state. Obviously, Tsunade's strange power punch caused a lot of damage to it. But Tsunade saw that the body of this dangerous species was still recovering quickly, and Tyrant's body was slowly dissolving into the environment. This guy wanted to become invisible again. Just when Tsunade was about to go up and add another punch, Jiraiya said to Tsunade, "Tsunade, use Katsuyu's slime to slow it down. I use fire style to attack." Katsuyu spat out mucus again. This time the mucus was not very corrosive, but very sticky. The two of them watched Tyrant struggling violently after being hit by the mucus, and then they realized that this guy was pretending to be weak just now. What you may want to do is wait for someone to get close and then attack again. Bunta, toad oil, Jiraiya said to Bunta. Gamabunta also agreed. It had just been scratched on the arm by Tyrant. This taste is not pleasant, and what it wants now is the monster roasted on fire. Gamabunta's mouth bulged and he spat. A large stream of oil like toad oil spurted towards Tyrant. Jiraiya started to form seals, using fire style to help. Fire style combines toad oil to create a more powerful flame. This is the most powerful fire style that Jiraiya has mastered, the toad oil flame bomb. Tyrant roared crazily under the terrifying flames, but this time Jiraiya and Bunta suppressed their discomfort and continued to use ninjutsu. Gradually, Tyrant's roar became smaller and smaller, and eventually his whole body stopped struggling and fell to the ground. It wasn't until Bunta vomited all the toad oil in his stomach that Jiraiya slowly ended the fire style. Everyone present saw that the surface of the previously arrogant Tyrant's body had been carbonized. Just when Jiraiya was about to seal the monster, Tsunade stopped him. Tsunade used the Earth-style Yellow Springs marsh to create a huge swamp, allowing Tyrant to slowly sink into the swamp. Tyrant revived again when his body sank halfway and began to struggle violently. As it struggles, its previously carbonized skin is slowly peeling off. Tsunade and Jiraiya looked a little ugly as they watched Tyrant take off the new leather under the carbonized watch case. They fully understood how exaggerated Naraku's terrifying vitality and strong adaptability were. And with the adaptability of this creature, if it continues to live, will one day be able to become immune to most escape techniques. Tsunade and Jiraiya saw that Tyrant was unable to move, and prepared to attack again. Tsunade's eyes turned cold, she took a deep breath, then jumped up high and punched violently, hitting Tyrant's left side with unparalleled power and speed. This punch was like thunder. At the same time, Jiraiya showed no sign of weakness. He condensed chakra on his hair, and Jiraiya's white hair began to grow wildly. Finally, Jiraiya controlled the hair and drilled into Tyrant's brain. Bunta, Jiraiya shouted to Gamabunta. Gamabunta also drew out his long sword again and charged it up on the spot. Only 3 dull loud noises were heard, and Tsunade's fist hit the left side of Tyrant's body hard. In an instant, the left side of Tyrant's body cracked open as if it had been hit by a heavy hammer, and blood surged out like a fountain, splattering everywhere. On the other side, Jiraiya's hair also accurately hit the right side of Tyrant's body. The powerful penetrating and destructive power transformed the skin of Tyrant's body beyond recognition, revealing the dense white bones inside, which looked shocking. In the end, Gamabunta also swung his sword with all his strength at Tyrant's head. The force of this sword was so strong that he even saw the brain under Tyrant's skull. The whole scene is extremely bloody and violent, making people shudder. Finally, after repeated attacks, Tyrant finally calmed down. Jiraiya quickly used 5-element seals multiple times to seal Tyrant in the scroll. Tsunade and Jiraiya were breathing heavily, while Katsuyu and Bunta watched the battle end, said hello to the two and returned to the psychic world. Naraku and Naoki watched the battle end and came to Tsunade and Jiraiya. The sister-in-law Naoki quickly asked her sister Tsunade about her condition, and Tsunade said she was fine. Jiraiya said to Naraku, "Are you sure you want to use this monster to forge armor?" Naraku told Jiraiya, "Toad Sage, haven't you seen the horror of Tyrant? Using the armor forged by Tyrant, it will be a living armor. With Tyrant's terrifying power, defense power, attack power, strong adaptability and terrifying evolutionary ability. And Tyrant's previous invisibility ability can also be gained. Following Naraku's explanation, Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo slowly walked towards the two of them. Before, Tsunade Jiraiya and Tyrant fought with all their strength, even outside the village. Some people in the village had already known about such a big movement, but when Hiruzen Sarutobi arrived, everyone else dispersed. Only Shimura Danzo, a shameless man, could not get rid of him. Sarutobi Hiruzen asked Jiraiya, "What happened just now? Where did that monster come from?" Jiraiya looked at Naraku, who was not too panicked and was about to tell him about using monster forging. Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo were both shocked. "I haven't seen you grow 50 centimeters in 2 months. Especially Sarutobi Hiruzen is a bit too uncomfortable, because his current height in his prime is only 165 centimeters, and his height may decrease when he gets older." Naraku had already prepared some words and lied. "I suspect that I have awakened a new blood successor boundary. I feel that it is more like signing a contract with a mysterious psychic world than the blood successor boundary. Unilateral contract. The main performance now is that it can summon some strange creatures. But this summoning is random. Sometimes it summons living creatures, sometimes it summons dead creatures. Sometimes you can summon the next one quickly, and sometimes you have to wait a long time. I ate a delicious-looking fish that I summoned, so it grew a little faster." Quote. Except for Naoki, everyone present here is considered a relatively knowledgeable person in the ninja world. This is the first time I have heard of this kind of blood inheritance limit, and it is an awakened Uchiha. Perhaps it was like Jiraiya's mindless use of psychic skills at that time, and he was transported into a strange space, but Naraku couldn't go to that world and could only throw out some things from that world. In short, they are all suspicious of this, but the value of Naraku's current performance is not enough for them to kill the goose and get the eggs. More importantly, they are worried that they have killed the goose but not got the eggs. Just like one thing that programmers all know, as long as the code can run normally, don't tamper with it, even if it's a mountain of shit. And there is still a little background behind Naraku. Only the rope tree said, "Wow, this ability is simply too powerful. Master Naraku, if you summon that kind of fish again in the future, please be sure to sell me some of it. I think I am growing a bit slow." Regardless of whether everyone believed it or not, Naraku went on to express his idea of using monster forging. When Hiruzen Sarutobi and Danzo Shimura couldn't help but be a little silent after learning the specific situation, especially when Naraku revealed his vision for the new armor. Danzo's heart felt like it was being scratched by 10,000 cats, and he was saying crazily, "I want it. I want it." That greedy expression was a little bit on display. Sarutobi Hiruzen's concentration was much higher, and he said to Naraku, "Little Naraku, you are the future of the village. You must pay attention to your own safety. If you have such dangerous things in the future, you can come to me." Shimura Danzo also temporarily suppressed his greed and said to Naraku, "It's okay to find the root if necessary." Naraku couldn't help but admire Danzo's shamelessness. "You old dog called people to catch me before. Now you still want my good things. Just wait, I will definitely find you if I have good stuff in the future." Naraku also expressed his gratitude to the two of them. Later, for safety reasons, Naraku did not go to the Uchiha clan for forging, but returned to Granny Neko after a long absence. After Naraku communicated with Granny Cat took the cats to a distant place to avoid danger. When Naraku arrived outside the forging room, he glanced at the rope tree and was immediately attracted by the necklace on the rope tree's neck. Isn't this the first-generation necklace that is said to be given to someone to die? In the original work, First Generation, as the owner of this necklace, died young, and then Tsunade gave it to Noshu, who was killed by the detonating talisman the next day. Tsunade then gave it to Kato Dan, and her internal organs were beaten to pieces. Tsunade, who had become a medical ninja, tried her best to treat him but was unable to save him. Tsunade also suffered from hemophobia. Then Tsunade, who regained her confidence by Uzumaki Naruto, chose to give it to the Prince Naruto. When Naruto wanted to completely transform into Nine Tails, he chose to crush the necklace because he was suppressed by the first-generation power contained in it. Eventually it became Hokage. Naraku feels that this necklace is not very auspicious, bring it to you. Naraku, who took away the necklace from Naoki's neck, said to others, This necklace will be embedded in the surface of the armor when it is forged later. You can take it off later if you want. Hearing this, the rope tree relaxed. This was a powerful encouragement from his Hokage dream. Naraku also used the system to identify it. First generation necklace, A level. This is a relic of first Hokage Senju Hashirama. It is a chakra crystal that only reacts to first Hokage chakra and can restrain the power of Jinchuriki. Naraku planned to use this thing as an insurance or a catalyst to inject it into the armor. He thought that if the armor evolved to a certain extent later, the owner of the armor would transform into a dragon to a certain extent. Let's see if the power of first generation can be completely absorbed by the Senju people with Senju blood as it evolves, or whether it can be completely suppressed to prevent the armor owner from completely turning into an inhuman existence. After that, Naraku began to recall the Taigu forging techniques in his memory and began to deal with Tyrant. Later, Naraku began to melt the Oliha steel, and used the melted Oliha steel as ink to carve strange runes on the body of the dangerous Tyrant. This process can be said to be very difficult. Tsunade had to punch Tyrant in the head after a while. Finally, with Tyrant's body covered with strange runes, Naraku asked Jiraiya to use the power of wind release to cut off Tyrant's claws. In order to make it easier for Jiraiya to cut Naraku, he also gave him a Naraku brand toy knife. Jiraiya spent a lot of effort to cut Tyrant's claws. Later, as Naraku slowly recited the spell, Tyrant began to struggle violently, and finally his body slowly shrank. In the end, Tyrant's body became about the same size as a human. At this time, Naraku took out 9 copies of Auria steel, 100 kg of refined iron, orangutan crimson sand iron, 10 copies of orangutan crimson ore, and Tyrant's claws. Naraku directly melted all the materials on it except Tyrant's claws, and then formed a rough embryo. Naraku needs to classify these rough embryos according to their shape, size, material and other characteristics, and then forge them into components suitable for various parts of the armor according to the requirements of the design drawings. These parts include helmets, breastplates, shoulder pads, arm guards, hand guards, leg guards, etc., each with a unique shape and function. It can be said that this step takes a lot of time for Naraku, but Naraku must be forged before the rune's time to suppress Tyrant ends. Fortunately, the rune suppression was still very reliable. In the next few days, Tsunade would accompany Naraku in blacksmithing. Since knowing that Naraku is now an 8-year-old kid, Tsunade has always felt ashamed of getting too close to Naraku. After all, it is extremely perverted for any 22-year-old to have a slight crush on an 8-year-old of the opposite gender. But after spending the past few days with Naraku, Tsunade discovered that the Naraku in front of her not only had powerful forging skills, but even his personal knowledge was completely unlike that of a ninja school student. From time to time, he can say thought-provoking words. Of course, the most important thing is that Tsunade found that Naraku is quite confident in playing cards, and also talked about many card games that she had never seen before. Tsunade also took the term, "people are addicted to food," to the extreme, and said from time to time that she would compete with Naraku in the way of gambling later. In fact, Naraku also likes the current Tsunade. A large part of Tsunade's drunkenness and gambling in the original novel was due to the consecutive deaths of her brother and boyfriend and the self-destruction after suffering from anemia. The only bad habit Tsunade has now is that she likes gambling, but this is her personal hobby. Moreover, Tsunade goes home after she loses, not like she owes a lot of debt. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. As time went by, the helmet, breastplate, shoulder pads, arm guards, hand guards, and leg guards were all built by Naraku. Each time a part was built, Naraku directly installed it on the human-sized Tyrant. A week later, with the last leggings put on, Tyrant no longer looks like a monster at all. Tyrant now looks like a brave general wearing armor. Naraku then melted the last piece of Oliha steel he needed, and then drew various runes on the surface of the armor again, when the last bit fell. All the runes gradually merged into the armor. At this time, the armor seemed to suddenly come to life, but the red flashing in the armor's pupils was very cruel. After that, Naraku chanted a strange spell again, and the entire armor shrank again, gradually turning into the shape of a sword. Later, Naraku put the final first-generation necklace into the reserve depression, and the entire sword was completely formed. The entire body of this sword shone with cold light, and its blade was extremely sharp, as if it could tear the air easily. The sword is broad and thick with strong lines, demonstrating its strength and tenacity. There is an eye-shaped crystal under the hilt, and the top of the hilt is inlaid with crystals from the first-generation necklace. Bite. Congratulations to the blacksmith for forging an A-level weapon, and you will be rewarded with 1,000 draws. Naraku then appraised the sword in his hand. Haunted by Evil Spirits Special Edition. This sword has been infused with the forger's efforts and uses a large number of precious materials: Oliha steel, refined iron, orangutan crimson sand iron, orangutan crimson ore, golden danger species Thailand German, gold first-generation necklace. Qualified Taigu secret techniques were used in the forging process. It took a week to forge. Because Tyrant absorbed a large amount of natural chakra and used golden materials that contained the power of the strong, it eventually surpassed the original weapon from the start, and also added many new possibilities to this armor. This sword is edged on both sides and is 1.3 meters long. It has strong and sharp properties and can smoothly conduct chakra. There is a chain at the end of the sword body. After calling, the strong armor will automatically fly out, enhancing the abilities of the person wearing it. The Taigu boasts an iron wall-like defensive power, and is equipped with the attached weapon, red-backed shrike, double-edged spear. Skills. 1. Evolution. Because the armor is forged from the dangerous species Tyrant and perfectly preserves its vitality, the armor and weapons have terrifying evolutionary capabilities. 2. Invisibility. The hidden ability is to activate the biological characteristics used in the material and make it transparent for a short time. As long as the user is skilled, he can also hide his own aura. 3. Choice. Under the blessing of first Hokage Senju Hashirama's power, choose to stop evolving or integrate this power to continue evolving. Naraku looked at the evil haunted Taigu in his hand and subconsciously wanted to laugh wildly, but when he saw Tsunade beside him, he decided to go back and laugh. Seeing that Naoki was not there, Naraku decided to let Tsunade try first. Sister Tsunade, why don't you try this Taigu first? It just so happens that you can also try the side effects of this weapon. Naraku said to Tsunade. As for why he called her sister, it can only be said that these days are not in vain. Tsunade thought it made sense. After all, she had seen Tyrant's power before, and Naraku had said before that if ordinary people put on this armor, they would be killed on the spot. The bodies of the Senju clan are naturally not comparable to those of ordinary people, but she still needs to try. Reminder, although ninja has high attack and low defense, that is also relative. The body of a ninja is also very terrifying. For example, Naruto's Rasengan Shuriken will grind a big hole in the earth, but after hitting Kakuzu, there is almost no major deformation on the surface of Kakuzu's body. And when Neji died, the forest behind him was torn through, but the brother-in-law didn't have any big wounds on the surface. There are many examples of this, so the ninja's body is also very strong. Closing parenthesis. After all, Rope Tree is just a genin now, and it would be bad if he gets injured. Tsunade came outside, picked up the Taigu with her right hand, and shouted energetically, "The evil spirit is haunting me." As soon as Tsunade finished speaking, a giant in armor appeared behind her. Behind her was a cloth belt wrapped around Tsunade's body. Behind her, an armor appeared on Tsunade's body, and Tsunade also got the accessory weapon, red-backed shrike. Naraku looked at Tsunade's summoning screen and knew that Tsunade and this armor were not particularly compatible, because if they were, Tyrant in the armor would also appear in the summoning screen. Tsunade herself is very satisfied with this armor, because this armor can make her stronger in all aspects. Tsunade tried to hit the big tree next to her with a strange punch, and the tree next to her was knocked away for an unknown distance. Tsunade discovered that the blow just now not only consumed less chakra, but was also more powerful than her normal punch. Later, Tsunade was experimenting with the invisibility ability of the armor. In just a breath, Tsunade wearing the armor disappeared. Tsunade looked at Naraku, who was completely defenseless, so she walked quietly behind Naraku and secretly tapped Naraku's back with her finger. Naraku could only pretend to be scared, but in fact, his third passive weapon, King Power, allowed him to easily sense the location of the weapon. Seeing Naraku's unfazed look, Tsunade also slowly emerged and said to Naraku, "Launch at me." Launch the fire-style Great Fireball Jutsu. Naraku looked at Tsunade saying this, and used the Great Fireball technique by forming seals with both hands. I saw a fireball hit Tsunade hard, and Tsunade felt the attack just now. Then she discovered that the attack just made her feel a little hot, and it could be said that it did no harm at all. Bite. Tsunade has initially mastered the A-level weapon, Evil Haunting, talent to copy and activate, and the host obtains the Earth attribute chakra. Naraku suddenly felt a sour feeling in his body, and he knew that he now had an extra attribute. Although it's not what I want most, it still has one more attribute. Tsunade, who was attacked by the Great Fireball, was a little swollen and asked Naraku to perform a powerful fire style. Naraku was naturally not polite, and quickly formed a seal to use the fire style How Fire Extinguishing, which he had just learned. Although Naraku's chakra seems to have only 2 cards, which is not a lot, it is still twice as many as Konoha Jonin. Naraku grilled Tsunade forcefully, 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. It wasn't until 10 seconds later that Tsunade felt her breasts were a little hot. After all, the center of Naraku's flame was that place, and Tsunade's area was also very prominent. Tsunade was also very satisfied with this. After all, with her speed, she could escape from the flames in less than 1 second. It can be said that the compatibility between this armor and Tsunade's strange power punch is quite high. After Tsunade tried for a while, she cancelled the armor summon. Tsunade feels that the energy consumption and physical consumption of this armor are completely acceptable to the Senju clan. Then Naraku and Tsunade came to the Senju tribe together. At this time, Naoki finally saw his beloved armor. After Tsunade and Naraku explained, haunted by evil spirits, accompanied by a roar from Shungshu holding the sword hilt, an armored shadow with crossed hands appeared behind Shungshu. But unlike Tsunade, the head inside the armor began to gradually crack, revealing Tyrant's ferocious mouth, and the entire armor slowly embraced the rope tree. Seeing this scene, Tsunade secretly thought, is this the summoning image that Naraku said is more suitable for this armor? Looking at the ferocious mouth on the armor's head, Tsunade couldn't help but feel a little worried. Naraku thoroughly verified his conjecture, and it turns out that only hot-blooded idiots are the most suitable for this armor. The term for high emotional intelligence is a pure heart, and the Senju family, the owners of the rope tree, must be able to grow quickly with this armor. He was very curious about whether rope tree could play the last skill choice of the armor, and also what rope tree's choice was. Of course, at least Naraku doesn't have to worry about the rope tree being blown up by the detonating charm before he can get the blood of the Senju clan. What follows is the ability to try the routine, after trying the rope tree one by one. Bite. Rope tree has initially mastered the A-level weapon, Evil Haunting, talent to copy and activate, and the host obtains the water attribute chakra. It's not like thunder. Naraku was speechless about this. I can only take comfort that there will be a chance next time. With the rope tree's compatibility with this armor, I should be able to get it. Rose Tree, do you have the thunder attribute chakra? Naraku asked Rose Tree, who was experimenting on the side. Yes, what's wrong? Naoshu said honestly. Naraku. Che. Naraku thought that he still had 1,000 draws and would be able to get good things. As Naraku handed over the evil spirit to the tree, Hiruzen Sarutobi and Danzo Shimura also fully knew the specific situation. Sarutobi Hiruzen was sitting in the office worrying about the arrangements for Uchiha Naraku, although Naraku never advertised himself as Uchiha, and even introduced himself to others by basically saying that he was Naraku. But as Naraku's importance grew, he found it increasingly difficult to arrange for Naraku. And as Naraku's contribution to the village increases, Naraku's network of people has also become larger. It is foreseeable that Naraku's network of people will become even larger in the future. Shimura Danzo glanced at Sarutobi Hiruzen and knew that this old friend was suspicious of Naraku in his heart. He said to Sarutobi Hiruzen, "This Naraku is really getting more and more powerful. The weapons forged this time use biological raw materials. Its strength is even close to that of some tailed beasts. I don't know how powerful the weapons forged this time are." Sarutobi Hiruzen was also angry and said, "So what do you want to express? Give Naraku to your roots, you should know that this is impossible now. Not to mention the Uchiha clan, they are the strong ones in the village. My disciples." Even the Senju clan, which has gradually disappeared, will not let you get Naraku. Just give up on this idea. It was rare for Shimura Danzo to see Sarutobi Hiruzen become angry and mockingly say, "Then let Naraku unite the power of the village through forging. In the end, we will surround Uchiha and obtain the position of Hokage." Seeing Hiruzen Sarutobi's silence, Danzo felt that he had an opportunity, so he started to pursue the victory, and through dirty water, that Naraku's forging method is really magical, he actually completely trained the terrifying monster into the armor. If he trained Nine Tails into any weapon, who in Konoha could stop him? Naraku is still so close to the Senju clan. If Shodai's body is used to create weapons, who in Konoha can stop him? In this way Uchiha has invincible power, and Naraku unites the village's family in Jonin. The position of Hokage belongs to Uchiha. So I want to test Naraku's loyalty to Konoha. That is to say, Narakudo is not here, otherwise I must give Shimura Danzo a thumbs up. He is indeed a famous conspirator in the ninja world. He has guessed everything that the conspirator Naraku wants to do. I can only say that he is really good at reading people. Just when Danzo was satisfied and thought that Hiruzen Sarutobi would definitely agree to Naraku, Hiruzen Sarutobi gave another answer, "But I refuse, at least during this period when the war is about to come." Quote. Danzo was not too angry this time, because he knew that Sarutobi Hiruzen had relented, and he did not want to kill Naraku so quickly. So Danzo said, and left. Naraku returned to the Uchiha tribe and fell asleep without paying attention to others. Uchiha Chidake and Uchiha Min were sitting opposite each other drinking tea. Uchiha Chigaku said, "Naraku has done a lot of great things recently. First he gave the sword Orochimaru, then he gave the sword Hitaki Sakumo, and now he made a powerful armor and gave it to the Senju clan. But all he gave to the clan were ordinary ninja swords, so some people in the clan also had some opinions on him." Uchiha Min naturally knew what the patriarch Qian Yu in front of him wanted, and said without mercy, "The weapon was forged by Naraku himself. He wants to show his own thoughts to whoever he wants. Is it your turn to intervene?" Uchiha Qianyu didn't expect that the Uchiha Min in front of him was so disrespectful. He originally thought that the two of them would work together to put pressure on Naraku. So he began to say unceremoniously, "Remember, I am the leader of the Uchiha clan. I will never allow any clan member to betray my family." Uchiha also slapped the table and said, "As the patriarch, you are not qualified to control other people's personal assets. You will regret it." After saying that, the two parted on bad terms. Naraku woke up from a good sleep and prepared for the whole hard work, which was to draw all 1,000 lottery draws. After doing the fourth trick, Naraku commanded the system to start the lottery. Bite. Lottery in progress. Green orangutan crimson iron, and orangutan crimson ore 200 copies. Green 20 meters Poseidon corpses, 1,000. The Poseidon in the pirate world is a very powerful creature and is a huge beast. Gold secret technique of production. Appearance of the demon god, essence of demon. Demon appearance, devil's essence, the imperial equipment of ice, which can freely create and control ice. A liquid made from the blood of the super dangerous species living in the far north. As long as ordinary people taste a little bit of it, they will be driven crazy by the desire to kill. After perfect mastery, you can understand various secret techniques on your own. Secret Skill 1. Moko Batmo. Freezes time and space so no one can move except you, but it consumes a lot of energy. Secret Skill 2. General Binglin. First uses ice to create a large number of ice cavalry, to store energy for several days, and then releases it in one breath, which can create a blizzard covering the entire empire. Closing parenthesis. Platinum super dangerous species, ice monster. Ice monster. Legend has it that it is a super dangerous species that lives in the far north. It masters the power of ice and has terrifying strength. Blue Oliha Steel 121 copies. Blue dangerous corpses. Flying mantis, earth dragon, wood beast. Secret techniques of forging golden sword imperial tools. Kill with 1 slash Murasama, March of the Dead, Hakubo. Kill with 1 cut Murasama, a demon sword forged from the fangs of a special dangerous species of poison cursed beast. If you are struck by this demon sword, the wound will be infected with the poison and die quickly. There is no antidote. It is very famous as a demon sword that can kill with 1 strike. It can kill with one strike. If you scratch it, you will die. There is no cure. It is specially made for killing people. However, it also has weaknesses. You must be careful when holding it in your hand. If you cut your finger, you will die instantly. If you cannot directly hit your opponent during combat, the spell will not work and will be ineffective against corpses. Its secret skill is to use a knife to cut itself. If it can't bear it, it will die suddenly on the spot. Successfully performing the secret skill will greatly increase the sword's owner's speed and agility. Closing parenthesis. March of the Dead 8 rooms use a demon sword forged by a super dangerous spider demon. You can control the people killed by this sword through curses. You can control up to 8 corpse dolls. The dolls look the same as they were alive and can be manipulated. When the ability is released, it will turn into an ordinary corpse. The weakness is that the more corpses are manipulated during the activation of the 8 chambers, the more the host's ability will be reduced. Gold Special Dangerous Species. Cursed Poison Beast Live. Poison Beast. A terrifying and dangerous species that possesses incurable poison and possesses extremely high speed. Platinum Guardian Machine God Supreme Throne Core. It is the energy source of the Guardian Machine God Supreme Throne, which is a collection of precious energy stones from super dangerous species and the Empire. Gold Special Danger Species. Spider Demon. Special Spider Demon. A super dangerous species that turns the enemies it kills into puppets. Golden Dimensional Square Shangri-La Forging Secret Technique. Dimensional Phalanx Shangri-La, a space movement taigu that can move the target to the marked position instantly, but it requires huge energy consumption and cannot be used continuously. If the energy consumption is small, it can be used continuously. Gold Space Stone. Space Stone. A strange stone containing space energy. Gold Special Danger Species. Empty. Empty. A special dangerous species that can utilize space stones. Golden 10,000 Years. King Kong Tree. 10,000-year-old King Kong Tree, extremely hard, extremely difficult to destroy and difficult to process. Green 20 meters Poseidon type 50 pieces. Green refined iron 2000 kg. Secret technique of making golden stone ghost face. The stone ghost face is a prop invented by Kaz, a member of the ancient humanoid race Dark Clan, later known as the Pillar Man, in pursuit of becoming a perfect creature. Ordinary humans or other creatures wear a stone ghost mask on their face and stain the stone ghost mask with blood. Many bone spurs will protrude from the edge of the stone ghost mask and pierce into the wearer's head and brain. Then it turns into a vampire whose physical abilities far exceed those of humans, who are immortal but will be destroyed by sunlight. If the stone ghost face can be inlaid with IJ red stone, to greatly enhance the effect of the stone ghost face, the Pillar Man can evolve into a truly immortal Pillar Man, who possesses the abilities of all creatures on the earth and is also extremely intelligent. The ultimate life form. Closing parenthesis. Golden Pillar Man Blood Deposit. Hillary Man Blood Deposit. Necessary for making stone ghost face. Naraku was quite satisfied with the results of this lottery, and he was able to draw out a lot of good things. It was the only platinum material for the core of the Protector Mecha, Supreme Throne, that made him a little speechless. Naraku once again recalled the forging conditions of this strongest mecha. The raw materials alone required 200 parts of Oliha steel. There are many other base materials and conditions for forging. The most terrifying thing is that its biological material requires a super dangerous species, the Western Dragon. From Naraku's understanding, even if they belong to the same super dangerous species, their combat prowess is vastly different. In the anime Zon Crimson Eyes that he watched, there was a super dangerous species called the Northern Dragon, which was estimated to be 15 kilometers long with the naked eye. Naraku feels that no one can do this except Uchiha Madara. This Western Dragon never appeared in the original novel, but it must not be much weaker. Naraku also saw through this that there is a difference between Taigu and Taigu. There is no doubt that the original Taigu Guardian Machine God, Supreme Throne, was not on the same level as other Taigu. And depending on the difference in the dangerous species used by the Taigu or the difference in the parts of the dangerous materials, some Taigu can reach A+ while some have an upper limit of only A-. For example, the biological material used to manifest the demon god is a super dangerous species, which is obviously stronger than the special dangerous species used by other imperial equipment. At least it seems much stronger in this introduction. The other is that except for the dangerous species, the ones given are all corpses, while the special dangerous species and the super dangerous species are all alive. Perhaps this is because forging has certain requirements for the freshness of biological materials. However, even if there is a certain gap between the one-shot killer Murasama, the March of the Dead Hakubo, the dimensional phalanx Shangri-La, and the demonic appearance, they are still very powerful Taigu. Especially the dimensional square, Shangri-La, its function is very similar to the flying thunder god technique. Once marked, they can be moved in space. It's just that the speed of releasing the mark may be slower, but its advantage is that it moves far away, which can be said to be a life-saving weapon. What's behind is the 10,000 years diamond tree, which is a bit like a ghost. It's hard to forge. Why does Naraku want this thing? Hit someone with a stick. The last stone ghost face can be said to be a very special thing. After all, he can transform people into vampires, and vampires have a terrifying lifespan and terrifying recovery capabilities. As for the enhancement of combat power, Naraku doesn't know how much it can be enhanced in the extraordinary world of Ninja World, but the fear of the sun is really fatal. If the Yang style in the Hokage world can simulate the effect of the sun, it will be too dangerous. Naraku also suspects that being transformed into a vampire will have an impact on people's will, but he has never been transformed and doesn't know for sure. In short, Naraku thinks Orochimaru should like this thing very much. It should be a treasure that everyone who expects a long life and is willing to make certain sacrifices will like. After exiting the lottery interface, Naraku thought for a while and decided to forge the one-slash-killer Murasama first, and then use the power of the one-slash-killer Murasama to kill the special dangerous Zangora. The main reason is that he is a little afraid that this special dangerous Zangong's escape ability is too strong. It is rare for Naraku to encounter this Taigu that he particularly wants. If this thing escapes, Naraku will have no place to cry. After forging the March of the Dead, 8 rooms, and the stone ghost face, Naraku imagined that he would stop being a human being when faced with a desperate situation. By transforming into a vampire and adding the dimensional phalanx Shangri-La, Naraku's life-saving abilities should be greatly enhanced. Finally, the demon god appearance Devil's Essence and the protector machine god Supreme Throne were forged. Of course, Naraku currently does not have that much material at all. Therefore, the guardian machine god Supreme Throne can only drag it back. If there is a chance, he still wants to forge this imperial weapon. Naraku felt that as long as this imperial weapon was forged, only the immortal Uchiha Madara in the entire ninja world could confront him. If one day Madara dies, Uchiha Naraku, the motherland of the ninja world, will come online. The more important point is that no man can refuse a mecha. After making various decisions, Naraku went to the Hokage office. Naraku felt that a particularly dangerous kind of cursed beast might require human sea tactics and would also lead to the death of many people. So Naraku is ready to cooperate with the village. Arriving at the door of the Hokage building, Naraku said to the ninja holding grass next to him, "My name is Naraku, and I would like to meet Lord Hokage." Shiranui Gengu, who was holding grass in his mouth, glanced at the young Naraku. Even though Naraku is now 1.7 meters tall, others can still see a little bit of his immaturity. Shiranui Gengo doesn't take it very seriously. After all, there are always people in Konoha who want to see Hokage, so he can't tell Hokage all of them. Shiranui Gengu said a little perfunctorily, "Do you have a reservation?" "You won't be allowed in without a reservation." Naraku couldn't bear it when he saw how Genu Shiranui treated his future ninja motherland, me. Konoha's strongest blacksmith, Uchiha Naraku. Listening to Naraku's confident introduction, Shiranui Gengo was a little unsure, and then he suddenly thought that Naraku seemed to have mentioned it to Hokage. So he immediately made a gesture to welcome the owner home. Regarding this, Naraku, who was born in the tomato orphanage, can only say, the laborer used to deliver food during the day and scolded the security guard, and worked as a security guard to stop the food delivery at night. That's what one does and loves. You, a little Konoha gatekeeper, still want to stop me. Naraku felt a little speechless when he entered the Hokage office. Shimura Danzo, the first-generation pot shadow, was also there. He was sitting on the sofa and staring at Sarutobi Hiruzen. Naraku said that you two really have a good relationship, and you were still having an affair in the office during the day. Sarutobi Hiruzen was very surprised that Naraku came. After all, Naraku's life was either forging, picking up girls, or playing with his friends. Under normal circumstances, Naraku would not come to him. So he forced a smile and said, "Shao Naraku, what do you want from me?" Naraku walked into the Hokage office and said seriously to Sarutobi Hiruzen, "Third generation master, my blood inheritance limit has reacted again. This time there are two special dangerous species, which are dangerous creatures. You may be needed. Help. These two dangerous species are necessary for me to forge the next two weapons." Naturally, Sarutobi Hiruzen would not refuse. After all, the forged weapons were also beneficial to Konoha's overall combat power. It would be better if the weapons were not in Uchiha's hands. So he asked tentatively, "What plans do you have for those two weapons? Don't get me wrong, I'm just curious." Naraku looked at Hiruzen Sarutobi and wanted to trick an 8-year-old child. He continued to pretend, "I have a hunch that these two weapons have certain requirements for their owners, so I don't know who to give these two weapons to. Give it a try inside ye and see who can master it." Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo's eyes lit up when they heard this, and they were both a little eager to try. But Sarutobi Hiruzen, as a Hokage, is still sensible, so he asked, "Are these two dangerous species you call very strong? How do they compare with the one in Konoha Forest last time?" Naraku said honestly, "It's not that extremely strong, but an extremely special kind. I have a premonition that there is a dangerous species with a poison that can kill you in terrifying speed. The other one is similar to a spider, but it seems to pass through spider silk to control dead enemies. The hard strength of the two dangerous species should be similar to the last one, and they may even have weaknesses, mainly because their abilities are a bit tricky." Listening to Naraku's explanation, Sarutobi Hiruzen was a little difficult to deal with. But as Naraku continued to explain, "According to my observation and perception, one of the monsters seems to have a poison that will kill if touched. Another monster seems to be able to control corpses to fight. I think I can use these two characteristics separately to forge two swords. If I'm lucky, I'll add some other abilities or features." Quote. Sarutobi Hiruzen was also very excited when he heard this. It can be said that these two ninja swords are very powerful just by hearing this idea, but even he may not be able to solve the poison. If Chunin or the family Jonin come, maybe there will be death. Just when Sarutobi Hiruzen was still struggling, Danzo suddenly jumped out. Danzo forced his fierce face to become kind and said, "It seems that the third generation project is a bit difficult to handle. I basically agreed to this matter. But you have to give us the knife to try at the root first." Listening to Danzo's promise, Sarutobi Hiruzen felt betrayed, but he couldn't argue with Danzo in front of outsiders. So he plans to find another opportunity later, and if this matter is left to Genbu, it will be Genbu's strength that will be weakened. If a knife gets into the hands of his own forces, it will be a bloody gain. Naraku saw that Sarutobi Hiruzen seemed to have no objection, so he nodded and said, "Thank you, Danzo-sama." When Naraku returned to the Uchiha tribe, he saw Uchiha waiting for him, and knew that it might be a matter of weapons. "Uchiha Chiangake came to me. But I refused. Naraku, I understand you. You are just like me, a child who is not good at expressing, but will always keep the people in your heart." Uchiha looked at Naraku seriously. Said. Naraku could only say, "I'm not. I didn't." However, as the energy in Naraku's hands and his own strength have grown stronger, Naraku has changed his mind about the Uchiha clan. He suddenly felt that he was limited before. From now on, he will control the Uchiha clan and let the Uchiha clan and the Senju clan intermarry. Then Naraku chooses the best to give weapons. If the blood of one person is not enough, then 2. If 2 is not enough, then 3. If 3 is not enough, then half blood. If half blood is not enough, then the more the better. I'm afraid that if all the Otsutsuki clan comes to the ninja world in the future, they will have to be called Grandpa. Of course, it is also possible that with the upgrade of the system, you can directly obtain weapons that can crush the Otsutsuki clan. But that is all uncertain, so Naraku plans to make sure everything first. Then Naraku informed Uchiha of the previous deal with Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo. Uchiha didn't understand it at first, but when Naraku said that he would not make useless sacrifices for Uchiha, Uchiha Min seemed to see the light in Naraku. Then Naraku also said sincerely to Uchiha, "Great Elder. I want to make progress so much." Uchiha Kianyu nodded with satisfaction and said, "Okay. I will fully support you." The location chosen for the dangerous species capture this time was a base at the root. This base looks like a mound from the outside, but there is actually a cave inside. The entire base is surrounded by thick walls, with almost no loopholes for people to penetrate. Sarutobi Hiruzen saw that one of Danzo's bases could be so wealthy. It can be said that he entered the base with a dark face the whole time. Arriving inside, Naraku finally saw the layout of the center. There are several root ninjas in the middle, ready to use sealing techniques at any time, and there are densely packed root ninjas waiting outside the middle. Naraku consciously walked a little outside the center and released the poisonous beast. As Naraku released the cursed poison beast, the ninja placed in the middle immediately launched the 4 purple flame formation. At this time, everyone saw the appearance of the cursed beast. Surprisingly, this cursed beast did not look fierce, but looked a bit like an enlarged version of a rabbit, but its eyes were an uncomfortable scarlet color. The teeth are also solid black. The ninjas in the 4 purple flame formation immediately launched an attack when they saw the cursed poison beast, using Senbon, Shuriken, and fire style at the same time. As a result, the cursed beast moved quickly and dodged the attacks of the ninjas. The cursed beast was not as docile as it seemed, and launched an attack on the ninjas. One of the root ninjas was happily throwing shurikens, but suddenly found a small cut on his hand. Immediately afterwards, countless curse marks began to extend rapidly along with the wounds of the root ninja. In less than a second, the curse marks covered the whole body of the root ninja, and then the root ninja fell down and fell asleep. Sarutobi Hiruzen, who saw the performance of the cursed beast next to him, also broke out in a cold sweat. Fortunately, he had thought of dealing with the cursed beast himself before. Now that he has seen the methods of the cursed poison beast, he can only say that it is too weird. As long as he makes a small hole in it, he will die suddenly. Even he couldn't guarantee 100% avoidance of the attack from the cursed beast just now. After all, the cursed beast could make countless mistakes, but he could only make one mistake. When Shimura Danzo saw this scene, he had another thought. This terrifying poison has the ability to cause death upon contact. If I could obtain this weapon, wouldn't I be able to kill whoever I wanted? Shimura Danzo also glanced at his old friend Sarutobi Hiruzen next to him, thinking that if this old friend was unwilling to give up his rights and hand over the Hokage throne to him, then there would be no need for his existence. Danzo's dark thoughts made Sarutobi Hiruzen feel a little cold on his back. He just thought that the reason was that the base was too cold. Regarding the friendship between the two of them, all I can say is that I cried to death. Naraku watched as there were fewer and fewer root ninjas in barriers. Now there was only one root ninja who was using substitute techniques and clone techniques to find opportunities to counterattack. Just when I was a little worried about how to deal with the poisonous beast inside, Danzo suddenly formed a seal, and all the ninjas in the 4 purple flame formation exploded instantly, including the root ninja who was still dealing with it. Only then did Naraku realize that all the roots were covered with densely packed detonating charms. Naraku's evaluation of this can only be, he is worthy of being Danzo, he is really disdainful. Naraku said that he still needs to learn more. The powerful explosion directly shattered the entire 4 purple flame formation, and the 4 ninjas who had just used the 4 purple flame formation were also thrown out by the explosion. Immediately afterwards, the root ninja waiting outside gave the all the bloody cursed beast. Looking at the cooperation at the root, Naraku could only say that there was something. Sarutobi Hiruzen next to him was not very happy, maybe he felt a little ashamed. After all, this fighting method was not in line with the will of fire. Naraku saw that the cursed beast was beheaded, and he also took a clone to put the cursed beast into a prefabricated container. Just when Naraku was about to release the second dangerous species, Sarutobi Hiruzen stood up. "Little Naraku, leave this second special dangerous species to me. If you just control the dead, the fewer people there will be, the better to deal with him." It can be said that when Sarutobi Hiruzen stopped, Naraku's impression of him suddenly became better. At this time, Sarutobi Hiruzen still deserves the title of Jonin Hero. However, Compared with Shimura Danzo and Sarutobi Hiruzen, he is really as shameful as a rat in the sewer. It is no wonder that Sarutobi Hiruzen never worried about Danzo becoming a Hokage. Naraku suspects that Danzo's chances of becoming an official Hokage may not be as high as his own. Danzo just felt disgusted as he watched Hiruzen Sarutobi slowly walk to the center of the base. When the second generation project was discontinued, Hiruzen Sarutobi was the first to sign up and got the Hokage position. There are no people in this root base now. Sarutobi Hiruzen is still trying to win people's hearts. Sarutobi Hiruzen asked the surrounding root ninjas to retreat, and then used the psychic technique. As a burst of smoke drifted by, an ape with thick limbs appeared in front of everyone. It was the Ape King and the Ape Demon. The Ape King and the Ape Demon looked around and found no enemies, so he asked Hiruzen Sarutobi, "Old man, what's the matter?" Sarutobi Hiruzen responded, "An enemy will appear later, so transform." Naraku watched in surprise as the Ape King and the Ape Demon transformed into a Vajra wishful stick. He was amazed, and Naraku looked at it based on his own evaluation standards. If the Ape King and Ape Demon in front of him is a weapon, it can definitely play a greater role for Sarutobi Hiruzen than ordinary A-level weapons. Naraku slowly walked to the center and released the spider demon. The appearance of this spider is as expected, it is just a pure big spider. The only surprising thing is its size, which is as high as 10 meters. The body of this giant spider is covered with a hard black carapace, shining with a cold light. Its 8 thick legs support its huge body, and each step causes the ground to vibrate. And its sharp fangs and sharp claws are even more terrifying. Sarutobi Hiruzen was not polite. He directly enlarged the Vajra wishful stick in his hand and struck the spider demon with a fierce blow. The power of this stick is very strong, but it just hits the spider demon's head to a point of dizziness, and cannot achieve the effect of killing it instantly. Later, Hiruzen Sarutobi and the spider demon were fighting each other physically. In the middle, Hiruzen Sarutobi was able to master various ninjutsu at his fingertips. Whether it is harassment, resistance or auxiliary attack, it can be said to be very subtle. It can be said that Sarutobi Hiruzen has a very broad grasp of basic ninjutsu. It is no wonder that he can teach Sanin, a prostitute and a gambler. And through this, Naraku can also see the fighting style of Sarutobi Hiruzen, relying on the extremely powerful King Kong Rui stick to fight head-on. Due to the large number of ninjutsu you have mastered, you can easily suppress the enemy's attributes. This fighting style of relying on strength to crush opponents is indeed powerful. It is precisely because of this that Sarutobi Hiruzen briefly became the most powerful person in Konoha. It's a pity that Hiruzen Sarutobi is just a mortal with no trace of blood after all, and there are limits after all in this cheating ninja world. Soon the spider demon was knocked dizzy by Hiruzen Sarutobi. Of course, this was also because its puppet was not teleported. If this spider demon's puppet was added, even if Sarutobi Hiruzen wanted to capture it quickly, this spider demon is not that simple either. Seeing that the spider demon seemed to be fainted and lying on the ground, Hiruzen Sarutobi formed a seal again and used the shadow clone technique to separate 4 shadow clone. Immediately afterwards, Sarutobi Hiruzen and his 4 clones performed their respective ninjutsu at the same time. A ball of blazing flames was seen spurting out from the mouth of Sarutobi Hiruzen's body, and one of his clones summoned a dazzling bolt of lightning, accompanied by a thunderous noise, and struck hard at the spider demon. Another clone controlled the water flow to form a raging torrent, drowning the spider demon. Another clone evoked a solid earth wall, like an insurmountable fortress, blocking the spider demon's way. Finally a clone set off a violent whirlwind, roaring towards the spider demon. These ninjutsu with different attributes poured onto the spider demon instantly like a violent storm. For a time, the gorgeous lights intertwined together to form a shocking picture. However, this was not the end. Immediately afterwards, an earth-shaking loud noise came, a huge explosion occurred. Under the impact of this powerful force, the spider demon's head was blown to pieces, like broken porcelain. Its ferocious and twisted face was torn open in an instant, revealing its dark and hollow internal structure. Naraku, who enjoyed this ninjutsu feast, also gave a high evaluation. Sarutobi Hiruzen, I would like to call you the strongest among ordinary ninjas in mastering the 5 elements. Then Naraku began to refine the spider demon on the spot. Naraku continued to carve different curse marks on the spider demon. Although Hiruzen Sarutobi was also very excited about Naraku's forging skills, his reason suppressed him. He didn't know why Naraku didn't protect his secret skills so well. He could only ask Shimura Danzo and his men to withdraw from the base to leave room for Naraku. Of course, the two old foxes, Hiruzen Sarutobi and Danzo Shimura, would not be so honest on the surface. They just asked the people on the surface to withdraw. There were still some people in the dark who were crazy about recording the lines carved by Naraku. Naraku doesn't mind this at all. These curse seals are not that simple to master, especially the curse seals related to the Imperial equipment. The complexity is even higher. If it weren't for the memory instilled by the system, even Naraku's current A-level blacksmith level wouldn't be able to master it so quickly. What's more, it takes an ordinary blacksmith a lot of time to upgrade the blacksmithing level to a level. Naraku even suspected that even if they met the educational requirements, many people would not be able to become A-level blacksmiths in their lifetime. Naraku guessed that the forging of imperial weapons in the world of Zon Red Eyes was definitely not forged by one person, but by a forging department. Each person is responsible for a part, and only through this can a complete taigu be forged. A few hours later, at this time, Naraku had carved dense curse marks on the spider demon's body, and Naraku cut off the toughest toes on the spider demon's body. The dead spider demon's hardness has become much smaller, which is why Naraku can cut it off easily. After that, Naraku separated several shadow clone and grilled the spider demon's remains. Finally, under the influence of the spider demon's curse seal and flames, it turned into 200 milliliters of black liquid. After Naraku put the liquid into the container, he quickly left the root base. Naraku had to forge the weapon quickly, and he was also worried that the activity of the biological material would be lost over time. Naraku came to the forging room and took out the spider demon essence, 10 parts of Aurea steel, 10 kilograms of refined iron, 1 part of green orangutan crimson sand iron, and orangutan crimson ore. After that, it is customary to use the shadow clone technique to create several clones. Clone number 1 is in the fused Aurea steel metal. Clone number 2 handles refined iron, green gorilla crimson sand iron, and gorilla crimson ore. Naraku first directly made a rough embryo out of Oliha steel. Next, Naraku performed a series of forging secrets to forge the mixed material and draw specific lines. After that, the essence of the spider monster is integrated into the main body of the sword, and special patterns are carefully carved on the main body of the material. Finally, Naraku took out the refined iron processed in number 2, as well as green orangutan crimson sand iron, and orangutan crimson ore. Fill in the skeleton of the sword body. Soon the sword embryo was formed. Naraku forged the sword embryo, and gradually, under Naraku's forging, the sword embryo took shape. The final weapon turned into a long black knife. Forging completed and Orochimaru. Bite. Congratulations to the blacksmith for forging an A-level weapon, March of the Dead 8 rooms. Naraku's routine is to check the attributes of this knife. March of the Dead 8 rooms A-level weapon. This knife uses extremely fresh biological materials and uses a large number of precious materials, Oliha steel, gorilla crimson sand iron, gorilla crimson ore, and refined iron. The standard sword type taigu secret technique was used in the forging process. It took a day to forge. It finally reached a level that slightly surpassed the original weapon. This knife is edged on one side and is 1.3 meters long. It has strong and sharp characteristics and has a strong ability to conduct chakra. Skills. 1. You can control people killed by this knife through curses. You can control up to 8 corpse dolls. The dolls look the same as they were in life and can be manipulated freely. After the ability is removed, they will turn into ordinary corpses. 2. It has a strengthening effect on chakra of a single attribute. Debuff. The more corpses controlled during the activation of the 8 rooms, the more the host's ability will be reduced. Naraku looked at the March of the Dead 8 rooms in his hand, feeling a little helpless. In fact, he originally wanted to add some other biological materials to this knife, but he didn't know if it was because of the erosion of special dangerous species that he couldn't add the abilities of some ordinary dangerous species. However, it is not that there is no chance to continue to become stronger. If there are other precious ore materials or biological materials, this knife can actually continue to improve. At this time, on the battlefield of Rain Country, the ninjas of Konoha were confronting the ninjas of Iwagakure village. The leader of Konoha is Orochimaru, who has not yet received the title of Sannin, while the leader of Iwagakure is the steel puppet who has the title of Iron Earth. Orochimaru narrowed his eyes and looked carefully at Tetsuchi, the leader of Iwagakure. He found that Titu's figure was completely different from Onoki's. Onoki was short and lean, while Titu was tall and strong. His physique is burly and muscular, giving people a strong sense of oppression. Titu's face looked particularly fierce, and there was a sense of majesty between his brows. Compared with the simple and honest image of ordinary Iwagakure, his facial features are sharper and more determined. Orochimaru secretly speculated that this iron soil seemed not to be easy to deal with. His appearance and temperament show that his strength cannot be underestimated. Orochimaru decided to deal with it carefully and not to take it lightly. Orochimaru recalled the information about the Iron Earth in front of him. The information contained very little information. The only information revealed was that the person in front of him had practiced the Earth-style hardening technique to a very high level. Earth-style hardening technique is a technique that hardens one's body until it is harder than rock, in order to reduce the damage of physical attacks. Tetsudo shouted contemptuously at Orochimaru, "Is there no one available in Konoha village? You actually sent an unknown little character to the battlefield." His words were full of provocation and ridicule. Orochimaru raised the corners of his mouth slightly, revealing a strange smile, and sneered, "On the contrary, I am planning to use your head to make myself famous." His eyes were shining with confidence and coldness. Tetsudo widened his eyes angrily and roared angrily, "Then let us see if you have enough strength." Before he finished speaking, he pounced on Orochimaru like a tiger. The Iwagakure ninjas behind Tetsuchi saw how brave their boss was, and they all followed him forward bravely. They roared and their morale was high. "Come on," Orochimaru ordered, his tone cold and firm. After hearing the order, the ninjas of Konoha charged forward without fear. They held the weapons in their hands tightly, with the passion for fighting burning in their eyes. The battlefield was filled with a tense and fierce atmosphere, and the momentum of both sides was rising. Orochimaru bit his finger without hesitation, dripping blood on the ground, and quickly pressed the hand seal, psychic technique. In an instant, a burst of smoke rose, and a huge snake head poked out of the smoke. The giant snake opened its bloody mouth and let out a deafening scream. "It's Orochimaru-sama's psychic beast, the snake. Iwagakure, just wait to be buried in the belly of a snake." The Konoha ninjas also became more confident when they saw Orochimaru's channeled snakes. After all, large psychic beasts are still very helpful in the war, and any of their movements can cause great harm to their opponents. Wan Shi didn't care what those ninjas thought, and just said coldly, "Orochimaru, I want 100 sacrifices. You can eat as much as you want from Iwagakure's ninjas." After receiving Orochimaru's affirmative answer, Wan Shi also began to move towards the Iwagakure position. Every move Wan Snake made caused huge damage to the Iwa ninja along the side. When Taitu saw this scene, he was also furious. He directly uses the Earth-style Tulan gun in the seal. Create sharp rocks on the land where the snakes pass to attack the snakes. Wan Shi was also stabbed and screamed, and struggled violently on the battlefield. Orochimaru knows this psychic beast of his. If he gets no benefits later and is seriously injured, Wan Shi will definitely run back to the psychic world without saying a word. It even dared to shout before running away that it should not forget its sacrifice. Orochimaru pulled out the sword Kurichimanji given by Naraku and prepared to slash it at Tetsuchi, who also sensed this. However, he pretended not to know and did not react, but secretly used the Earth-style Earth Spear technique. This technique makes the body look like diamond. It is a highly versatile technique that utilizes the chakra flowing throughout the body to harden the skin and increase the defense to the limit, while also enhancing the destructive power of flesh bomb attacks. While defending, it can convert defense power into attack power, causing the opponent to be harmed as well. Orochimaru also understood that the person in front of him might have used a technique similar to the hardening technique, but he did not retreat at all. He put his confidence in this sword, and Orochimaru frantically infused the Yang chakra into Kurichimanji, and then slashed with all his strength. Tetsuchi, who was originally full of confidence, looked at the shining black light of the sword in Orochimaru's hand. The hair on his body suddenly stood up, and he instinctively told him that he could not catch the knife. So while he further strengthened the hardening of his body, he quickly retreated back. I have to say that ninjas are different from pirates. Men who use iron in the pirate world will never back down easily. Orochimaru's sword was finally blocked by Tetsuchi's arm, but the powerful kinetic energy attached to Korichi's character did not dissipate, but instantly poured onto Tetsuchi's arm. Although Titu's skin as hard as diamond can resist most attacks, it can only struggle to support it in the face of this powerful kinetic energy. Just a moment later, his skin was cut with a deep wound, and blood immediately flowed out. Chapter 31. As the kinetic energy continued to be vented, Titu was also knocked out and fell heavily to the ground. He couldn't help but his face changed drastically, and his heart was filled with shock and doubt. Originally, he thought that his technique could easily break Orochimaru's sword and even cause counterattack damage to the opponent. However, reality slapped him hard and made him realize that his judgment was wrong. To Tetsuchi's surprise, the sword in Orochimaru's hand was so sharp that it was able to break through the defense brought about by his tempered body and the ultimate earth spear technique. After all, according to experience, although the earth spear technique also has the disadvantage of inconvenience caused by hardening, it can be restrained except for the lightning-style ninjutsu, which changes the nature of lightning. Ninjutsu that can break earth spears should not exist. As a result, today I was defeated by Orochimaru's sword. This situation was completely beyond his expectation, but that was the end of it. It's just a cut. Let me block the wound on my arm right away. Titu immediately used chakra to seal the 20 centimeters cut on his arm. The result that surprised him was that the small wounds that could be easily blocked with chakra were now bleeding out as if the gate had been opened. While Tetsuchi was trying to heal the wound, Orochimaru did not stop, and used the Kirichimanji in his hand to perform the Konoha-style swordsmanship that he had already practiced to perfection. Titu was forced to use the earth-style earth ball technique to create an earth ball to temporarily wrap himself up. Orochimaru looked at the earth ball in front of him and did not think of ways to destroy it. Instead, he continued to order Wan Shi to destroy Iwagakure's position, and he himself randomly selected and killed the lucky ones who were close. Titu, who was inside the earth ball, found that he had no way to use chakra or simple trauma treatment to block the wound. He could only use the earth spear technique to completely block the wound. That is to say, that piece of skin was completely hardened, but even so, the wound was still slowly bleeding out. But he had no choice. He had to go out and deal with Orochimaru, otherwise Orochimaru and his psychic beast would do too much harm to the Iwa ninja. Tetsudo, who was prepared to pay attention, exited the earth ball by himself. When he saw Orochimaru bullying Chunin, he immediately caught up with him. Tetsudo spit out a stream of pebbles from his mouth, and then the pebbles continued to grow in the air, hitting Orochimaru like a solid cannonball. This is Iwagakure's signature ninjutsu earth-style Iwagakure no Jutsu. Orochimaru naturally would not be hit by the ninjutsu in front of him, and easily dodged the attack. In fact, the use of ninjutsu in ninja battles generally requires grasping specific timings, not the kind of ninjutsu used by mages. If you don't have a good time, casting ninjutsu randomly is a waste of chakra. Of course, this is the fighting style of most ordinary Kage level and below. If they are really at the level of Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama, ninjutsu will be normal for Todoroki. Why are you willing to come out of the earth ball? Orochimaru said mockingly. This time Tetsudo changed from his previous fiery temperament and suppressed his inner anger to continue fighting Orochimaru. This time Tetsudo is going to be careful and use ninjutsu as the main part and taijutsu as a supplement to fight. This greatly weakens his combat effectiveness, but Tetsudo does not have a weapon that can compete with Orochimaru's sword. That bleed-out quality is just too disgusting. In the face of Tetsuchi fighting with ninjutsu as much as possible, Orochimaru is naturally not afraid. It can even be said that this is his advantage. Orochimaru is positioned more as a ninjutsu-type ninja, but unfortunately Tetsuchi's defense is airtight, and his snake-type secret skills are of no use at all. However, although the two rarely use physical skills to fight, there are inevitable times when they fight with physical skills. Tetsuchi also knew that Orochimaru's ordinary sword could hardly cut him in a large area. Only when the black light appeared on the sword, he had to dodge it. Fire-style Great Dragon Fire Technique. Orochimaru formed a seal with his hands and spewed out a fire dragon from his mouth and flew towards Tetsudo. Titu was unable to cast Earth-style Tulu return, see. Slap your hand to the ground to turn the land in front of you into a large stone slab to resist the opponent's physical attacks. It's a pity that this ninjutsu can't completely resist the fire dragon jutsu, and his whole body was knocked away by the great dragon fire jutsu. At this time, he could be said to be almost exhausted. The large wound on his arm was still bleeding out. The forced taijutsu battle with Orochimaru also inevitably added some small wounds to his body. He is still using hardening to seal these small wounds, which also consumes chakra. Even if he hadn't been very proficient, he wouldn't have been able to perform the hardening technique while fighting and performing other ninjutsu. And he had to give up his personal advantage to play ninjutsu with Orochimaru. In the ninjutsu battle, he was very embarrassed. And with more and more blood flowing from his body, his physical strength and chakra are rapidly declining. Tai-Tu looked at the situation around him and his heart sank. Their side was completely at a disadvantage. That abominable snake was devouring the rock ninja crazily on the battlefield with its bloody mouth open. But on his side, he couldn't defeat Orochimaru in front of him. He knew that if they continued like this, they would soon be defeated by Orochimaru. By then, the Iwa ninja on the battlefield will face disaster. There is absolutely no good fruit to eat. Titu gritted his teeth, finally made up his mind, and shouted to the Iwa ninja on the battlefield, "Retreat! Retreat!" His voice was filled with a hint of helplessness and unwillingness, but he knew that only by conserving his strength could he have a chance to make a comeback. After hearing the order, the Iwa ninjas began to retreat one after another. Although they were a little unwilling, they also understood that the situation at this moment was not good for them. They can only give up the fight temporarily and look for new opportunities. As the Iwa ninjas retreated, the battlefield became chaotic. Naturally, Orochimaru would not let the Iwa nin go so easily. Orochimaru also ordered the Konoha ninja, "Pursue the Iwa nin with all your strength." And he himself was staring at the leader of the Iwa ninja troops, Tetsuchi. If he could be killed, this war would be considered perfect. Seemingly seeing that it was not so easy to retreat, the people in Iwagakure began to use Earth-style ninjutsu crazily. In particular, the Earth-style Iwatetsu Kanon Jutsu was used extensively by the Iwa ninjas, which resulted in the Konoha ninjas being unable to pursue and kill them immediately and could only use ninjutsu to defend first. Some Konoha ninjas were even taken away directly because they failed to escape this wave of attacks. Orochimaru naturally knows this situation, but this is war. As Iwagakure's Earth-style rock iron cannon jutsu attack ran out, a sneer appeared on Orochimaru's lips, and he quickly formed a seal with his hands, latent shadow multi-snake hands. As soon as he finished speaking, multiple big snakes were instantly summoned from Orochimaru's arms, entangling Tetsudo while trying to find Tetsudo's blind spot to take a bite. Tai-Tu cursed secretly in his heart, but at this moment he had no choice but to squeeze his physical strength again, use the unearthed spear to harden his body, and then use his strength to break away from the big snakes wrapped around him. However, when Tetsuchi opened his eyes, he did not continue to run away, but stared at Orochimaru. At this moment, a strong will to die emerged in his heart. He knew that there was a high probability that he would not be able to escape, so he decided to start an extreme one-for-one duel with Orochimaru. Even if he dies, he must do his best to slow down Orochimaru's pursuit of Iwagakure, so that his sacrifice will not be in vain. Orochimaru looked at Tetsutsuki's dangerous eyes and knew that Tetsutsuki was the most dangerous at this time, so Orochimaru turned his attack to defense instead. Tetsudo once again felt the uncontrollable wounds on his body, and then looked at Orochimaru with angry eyes and said, "Orochimaru, I really didn't expect that. When did you Konoha play Kurikage's trick? It's because of that, only a sword can defeat me." After Orochimaru heard this, he seemed to remember something, and said with a slightly raised corner of his mouth, "Haha, that's right. This knife did help me a lot, but it is just a tool. What really defeated you was your arrogance. But since you want to know so much, then remember the name of this sword, Kurichimanji." Tetsudo listened to Orochimaru's words, and his heart was filled with unwillingness and anger. He stared hard at the knife in Orochimaru's hand with his eyes widened, as if he wanted to carve it into his heart. However, he also knew clearly that the situation could no longer be changed. As a result, Tai-Tu completely gave up his defense. He knew that he had no chance now and could only make a final struggle. He concentrated all his strength on his fists and feet, preparing to launch the final blow. Although he understood that it might be in vain, he still wanted to try, at least not to let Orochimaru succeed easily. His body became extremely hard, every punch carried a huge impact, and every kick caused the ground to vibrate. However, Orochimaru was not affected by Tetsuki's attacks. He cleverly used the substitute technique, clone technique and flexible positioning to avoid Tetsuki's attacks many times. As time passed, Tai-Tu's movements began to slow down, and his physical strength was gradually exhausted. Orochimaru took the opportunity to inject more yang chakra into Kurichimanji, preparing to give Tetsuki a fatal blow. When Orochimaru wielded Kurichimanji again, Tetsudo immediately noticed the black light on the sword, and he realized that this was a dangerous signal. He hurriedly distanced himself from Orochimaru, but he didn't know that this was Orochimaru's carefully designed trap. Just as Tetsuki was trying to get away from Orochimaru, he suddenly found himself stuck in a quagmire. It turns out that Orochimaru had already laid this trap and was waiting for Titu to fall into the trap. The formation of 10,000 snakes. Orochimaru lay directly on the ground and spit out a large number of snakes from his mouth. The snakes swam towards Titui quickly. It is foreseeable that as the snake group completes the encirclement, Tai-Tu will undoubtedly die. Earth-style wall. Suddenly 3 earth walls were erected around Titu, directly blocking the group of snakes trying to attack Titu. Shangshi, what are you doing here? Leave quickly. Didn't you hear my order? Titu looked at his men coming to save him. Not only was he unhappy, but he was very angry. Shangshi didn't say much. Brother Titu, you have saved me many times, I will save you this time. Remember, this is all for the village. Bring the information back to the village. After saying that, Shangshi jumped out of the earth current wall. Orochimaru looked at the strange ninja in front of him indifferently, and secretly judged in his heart, this person should be the guard of that guy Tetsudo, right? He didn't intend to get entangled with the other person, he just wanted to go directly past him and deal with the guy Tetsudo. As a result, Orochimaru flashed and quickly rushed to the side. Your enemy is me, Orochimaru. Shangashi's eyes flashed with determination. He no longer retained his chakra and quickly formed seals with his hands. Earth-style rock pillar prison. As Shangshi shouted, thick earth pillars instantly rose around Orochimaru, forming a strong cage that trapped Orochimaru inside. However, this so-called cage cannot trap Orochimaru for long. The corners of Orochimaru's mouth raised slightly, revealing a disdainful smile. He waved his hand lightly, and a sharp wind blade easily cut off those soil pillars. However, Shangshi was not discouraged. He took a deep breath and formed the seal again. Earth-style landslide. After completing the seal on the stone, he punched the ground hard. Suddenly, the ground shook violently, breaking into countless tiny sand and stones, and swept towards Orochimaru like a raging tide. Facing this overwhelming sand and stone attack, Orochimaru frowned slightly. The earth-style spell can be a real headache sometimes, but it's great for controlling your opponent and slowing down your attack. Water-style water shockwave. Orochimaru shouted softly, and spurted out a powerful stream of water from his mouth, like a ferocious torrent, instantly impacting the sand on the stone and splashing it everywhere. Orochimaru gathers the chakra in his throat and sprays enough water to form a lake on the opposite side to hit the landslide on the stone. Shangashi didn't even consider whether Orochimaru could solve the previous landslide and use the last chakra in his body directly. Earth-style Earth-stone dragon. Kamashi uses the Earth attribute chakra to form a large amount of earth and rocks into a dragon with amazing momentum, and rushes towards Orochimaru. Orochimaru had no time to dodge this move and was directly hit by the Earth Dragon. The Earth Dragon with astonishing momentum slammed Orochimaru to the ground. But at this time, Shangshi did not go up to touch up the knife, but gasped for air. As the person with the strongest life-saving ability in Hokage, Orochimaru will naturally not be solved by a small stone dragon. Orochimaru directly activated the Orochi-style substitution technique, and slowly emerged from his mouth. Panting, Kamashi saw Orochimaru appear in front of him again, and forced his body to launch a fatal charge towards Orochimaru. Seeing how tenacious the enemy was, Orochimaru pulled out Kurichimanji and killed Kamishi with his sword. By the time Orochimaru jumped onto the earth wall again, Tetsudo had already used earth-style soil submersion using chakra to turn the solid sand and gravel underground into fluid, allowing him to swim quickly in the underground soil, to escape. Even Orochimaru can't be sure where Tetsuchi is. One snake felt so good this time. It swam up to Orochimaru and said, "Orochimaru, call me if you ever do something like this in the future." After saying that, it turned into smoke and disappeared. The Konoha ninjas who found that they could not pursue the enemy also retreated to their positions. They cast their eyes on Orochimaru in front, their eyes shining with admiration and excitement. All the Konoha ninjas gathered around Orochimaru and shouted in unison, "Long live Orochimaru-sama." This cry was as shocking as thunder and echoed on the battlefield for a long time. Immediately afterwards, the cheers turned into uniform slogans, "Long live Konoha! Long live third generation!" Every shout was filled with love and pride for Konoha village. Orochimaru just raised the corners of his mouth slightly. Not long after the victory in the battle, Sarutobi Hiruzen in Konoha also received news of a great victory on the front line. Although the specific casualties and number of enemies killed have not yet been released, based on the approximate number, the battle loss ratio reached 3-1. Especially in this battle, Kurichimanji directly broke through Tetsudo's hardening technique and caused trauma to Tetsudo that could not be healed in a short period of time. Although there are reasons why Tetsuchi is proud of his own defense, it is undeniable that Kurichimanji contributed a lot to Orochimaru's victory. As far as he knew, the ninja sword or weapon of Kurichimanji was not the limit of Naraku's forged weapons. The one kill Murasama and the March of the Dead Hachifu that Naraku was forging might have more terrifying effects. He is looking forward to the Taigu mentioned by Naraku more and more. Sarutobi Hiruzen, who felt the importance of Naraku more and more, began to remember what Danzo warned him. Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed, "Uchiha Naraku. How nice it would be if you were not an Uchiha." If Naraku knew about this, he could only say, "You are thinking about shit. Want both and more. You think you are T0. And Sarutobi Hiruzen couldn't abandon Naraku at all, so he could only massage his head with a headache. Tetsudo, who returned to Iwagakure on the other side, briefly explained some things and then fell into a coma due to excessive blood loss. Iwagakure and medical ninjas who did not believe in evil tried to use medical ninjutsu to heal Tetsuchi's injuries, but found that medical ninjutsu was not effective at all. They could only use physical means to sew up Titu's wound and then use waterproof materials to forcefully stop the bleeding. During this process, they had to continue blood transfusions. It can be said that this is the first time they have seen such strange injuries. After listening to the report from his subordinates, Onoki also knew the general situation of this battle. Less than 20% of the Iwagakure troops had returned. Even if some people had not returned, the probability was less than 30%. For a local war, 70% death was too cruel. Although Iwagakure also had 200 ninjas who died, Shengashi's death still made him feel a little heartbroken. Although there are many ninjas in Iwagakure, the proportion of ninjas who can or have the potential to grow into elite jonin is still relatively low. In his opinion, Kamishi can become elite jonin with normal growth. As for the ninja sword Kirito in Orochimaru's hand that Tetsuchi said could cause incurable wounds, Onoki was a little confused. After all, the only famous ninja sword in Konoha was the Thunder God sword. It is impossible that Konoha had good weapons before and kept hiding them. Onoki can only hope that this is a ninja sword that Konoha got by luck. If there is a forging master in Konoha who can forge weapons comparable to those of the 7 Kurikage ninja swords, and then he gets the 7 ninja swords of Konoha, then for the threat to other ninja villages is a bit big. Come here, let's check if there is a new forging master in Konoha or the origin of Kurichimanji's ninja sword. After arranging his men, Onoki looked out the window and thought about something. Grandma Chiyo of Sunagakure, no. Chiyo has just reached 40 now. Chiyo's face can still see her beauty when she was young, it can be said that her charm is still there. The current rain country itself is a melee between wind, fire, and earth. Even if Sunagakure did not participate in the previous battle, they still paid close attention to the previous battle between Konoha and Iwagakure. Onoki is a little defeated this time. But what is the situation in Konoha? Wasn't it a small advantage before? Why did it suddenly become so powerful? Chio expressed a little doubt about this. Then Chio also asked his subordinates to inquire about the specific situation of this battle. It can be said that the entire ninja world is now in a state of imminent war. Big and small countries are also more concerned about this local war, and they have inquired about the specific situation. Turning his eyes back to Konoha, Sarutobi Hiruzen, who couldn't think of the outcome at all, decided to inform ordinary people and civilian ninjas of the victory in the battle. He felt that news of victory was needed to encourage the people and ninjas. After all, signs of a bigger war had appeared. Ordinary ninjas in Konoha also knew about Konoha's victory, and ninjas who were a little better informed knew that Kurichimanji, who was forged by Naraku, played a certain role in this local battle. Naraku, the Kurichimanji you forged has become a little famous in battle. I can't let go of my water dragon sword, Hatake Sakumo thought while wiping the sword in his hand. And those wealthy clans with Hokages back no more information. For example, Naraku has forged 2 more powerful ninja swords, and is preparing to choose a suitable owner for these ninja swords in Konoha. The clan of the Sarutobi clan. The great elder of the Sarutobi clan was saying to the clan elite below, Uchiha Naraku is about to build 2 more powerful ninja swords. We, the Sarutobi clan, have a relatively early opportunity to experiment with whether they can match those 2 ninja swords. You must seize this opportunity. Naraku, who was still forging in the forging room, had no idea that some people were paying attention to his ninja sword before it was completely forged. However, as he became famous, his forging reputation was also rising rapidly. Although Uchiha Chigake of the Uchiha clan did not rely on the Hokage, Uchiha's special nature also allowed him to know the news on the front line. Seeing Orochimaru using the Kurichimanji forged by his own clan Naraku to win, he felt uncomfortable. What's more important is the arrangement of the 2 newly forged ninja swords by Naraku. He can't bear the thought of the new ninja sword being easily obtained by foreigners. Although he is not a hawk, he still values the family's interests very much. He was going to look for Uchiha Min again to discuss whether Naraku could give priority to the Uchiha clan to try to see if they could fit the ninja sword. At this time, Naraku was in the forging room, concentrating on the forging work of killing Murasama with 1 strike, and had no idea what was happening outside. Naraku was full of expectations for this upcoming knife. After all, it is the weapon owned by the heroine in the original work, and its powerful characteristics make Naraku yearn for it. This time, Naraku was extra cautious and decided to use Shadow Clone directly to process the biological materials. According to the memory in his mind, there were 10 blacksmiths who forged Murasama, but in the end only 1 of them managed to survive. The reason why that survivor was able to survive was not because he was more powerful than the other 9 people, but simply because when it was his turn, he happened to complete Murasama's forging. Fortunately, Naraku mastered the Shadow Clone technique, otherwise he would not have dared to build this sword. I saw his hands quickly forming a seal, Shadow Clone technique. As a burst of smoke dissipated, Naraku successfully separated into 5 clones. Then, he sent these 5 clones into the room to process the precious biological materials. Naraku's clone number 1 carefully took out the cursed beast, and then began to use tools to slowly remove the front teeth of the cursed beast. However, just as clone 1 pulled out the incisors of the cursed beast in a steady rhythm, an accident happened. The incisors of the cursed beast directly scratched Naraku's gloves and pierced into his palm. Ah! Clone number 1 screamed, then fell to the ground and died suddenly. Next, clone number 2 took over the important task. This time clone number 2 chose to thicken the gloves, and then used the same method to remove the front teeth of the poisonous beast again. What makes Naraku happy is that clone number 2 succeeded this time, and clone number 2 slowly placed his front teeth. Together with clone no. 3, I used the melted Aurea steel to carve a mark on the cursed beast. Number 2 and number 3 both returned home before the painting was even halfway through. Number 4 and number 5 could only continue to top it. Fortunately, number 5 finally finished the last stroke before he died. Naraku's body at the back stood outside the door and recited a spell to turn the cursed beast's body into black biological essence. In just 1 short hour, Naraku experienced being poisoned 5 times in a row. But the effect is also obvious, that is, his forging speed is much faster. Next, Naraku once again divided out 10 clones and asked them to deal with them. The materials used this time were similar to the materials used to forge the 8th room before, including the essence of the cursed beast, the incisors of the cursed beast, and 10 copies of Oliha steel, 10 kilograms of refined iron, 1 portion of green orangutan crimson sand iron, and orangutan crimson ore. Clone number 1 is in the fused Aurea steel metal. Clone number 2 handles refined iron, green gorilla crimson sand iron, and gorilla crimson ore. Clone number 3 tried to forge and fuse the Aurea steel and the incisors of the cursed beast together to form the skeleton of a sword. Next, Naraku performed a series of forging secrets to forge the mixed material and draw specific lines. Naraku then took out the refined iron processed in number 2 as well as the green orangutan crimson sand iron and orangutan crimson ore. Fill the skeleton of the knife. Soon the knife embryo was formed. Then the biological essence of the cursed beast is integrated into the main body of the blade, and special patterns are carefully carved on the main body of the material. Clone number 4 died suddenly, clone number 5 died suddenly. Until clone number 9 finally perfectly integrated the biological essence of the poisonous beast into the blade. Clone number 9 just gave himself a thumbs up and then returned to the west. Finally, clone number 10 forged the blade embryo. Gradually, under the forging of clone number 10, the entire knife finally took shape. Congratulations to the blacksmith for forging an A+ level weapon, which will kill Murasama with one strike. This is the highest level weapon Naraku has created so far. Even the evil haunting that can evolve infinitely cannot compare to it, but Naraku still has special expectations for the evil haunting. He felt that the limit of being haunted by evil spirits might be beyond a level to S level. Naraku's routine is to check the attributes of this knife. Kill with one strike Murasama A+ level weapon. This knife uses extremely fresh biological materials, which perfectly retains the toxicity of the poisonous beast. In addition, it also uses a large number of precious materials: Aurea steel, orangutan face sand iron, orangutan scarlet ore, refined iron. The standard sword type Taigu secret technique was used in the forging process. It took a day to forge. It finally reached a level that surpassed the original weapon. This knife is edged on one side and is 1.32 meters long. It has strong and sharp characteristics and has a strong ability to conduct chakra. Skills: 1. Killing. If you are struck by this demonic sword, the wound will be infected with poison and die quickly. There is no antidote. If certain conditions are not met, the owner of the knife will die violently even if he is cut. 2. Poison possession. After the sword owner and the weapon have reached a level of compatibility and their understanding of the weapon has reached its peak, you can use Murasama to cut yourself to possess the poison. At this time, the sword owner will not die. Instead, it will achieve unprecedented terrifying speed. The poison's killing power will also increase rapidly. The disadvantage is that once possessed, the poison is difficult to remove, and the sword owner will continue to suffer painful torture, and even a powerful murderous intention will continue to surge from his heart. 3. It has a strengthening effect on chakra of a single attribute. Naraku breathed a sigh of relief when he looked at the two ninja swords in front of him. The high-intensity forging for 2 consecutive days had completely choked him, especially Murasama, who was poisoned to death more than a dozen times in one day. Now that the weapon is forged, Murasama's poison is ineffective against him. After all, his blacksmith's passive weapon power can suppress the weapon's effect at will. Hokage Office. Naraku. 3rd generation Sama, the weapon forging is completed. Hiruzen Sarutobi looked at the 2 similar-looking ninja swords and smiled. Naraku-chan, when are you going to start choosing a sword master? Tomorrow. As Naraku's accent fell, the entire Konoha began to gear up. After Naraku returned to the clan, he also informed Uchiha, Great Elder, the selection of weapons will start tomorrow. Please call the clan members together. Uchiha asked reluctantly, does this weapon really have that kind of fit? Do you need to prepare anything in advance? Naraku knew that Uchiha Min wanted him to operate in secret. In fact, he could operate in secret, but he didn't want to break his promise and give his sword to someone who was completely unsuitable. Choosing the owner of these 2 swords is not useful because of preparation, so the more people there tomorrow, the better. I can only guarantee a similar fit, and the sword must belong to Uchiha. Listening to Naraku's assurance, so did Uchiha, nodded. Hyuga clan land, clan chief meeting room. A branch house is reporting to the Zong family that Naraku is about to choose a master for the sword. Hyuga, the elder of the Hyuga clan, who was listening to the report from his subordinates, said with complete disdain, "My Hyuga clan has its own Hyuga gentle fist here, so there is no need for this ninja sword. The Uchiha clan is getting worse and worse, and now it starts to rely on outsiders. It's a thing." After hearing what the elder said, clan leader Hyuga Tianming almost couldn't help but his veins popped out. Does this old man want to hear what he said? Such a powerful ninja sword Hyuga gentle fist will hit someone no matter how strong it is. After hitting someone, you also need to be able to connect the combo, which means the enemy cannot use chakra temporarily. It can be said that in this process, more powerful enemies will have countless opportunities to escape. And Naraku's ninja sword can kill with just a scratch. How outrageous is this? The stubborn old man in front of him is actually unwilling to admit his power for the sake of the glory and face of the so-called Hyuga clan. He has always wanted to change the current situation of the Hyuga clan. But the current situation is that these conservative elders have the right to speak of the Hyuga clan. Even he, the clan leader, couldn't stand up to the hard steel. He could only agree and said, "That's true, then just invite some people from the branch house to go. And since Hokage invited it, let the branch house manager take some ninja students from the branch house to go with him tomorrow. I also go check it out." Hyuga glanced at Hyuga Tianming and nodded. Seeing the elder nodding, other elders also agreed. In the Senju tribe, now Shu is pestering his elder sister. "Sister, Master Naraku has forged a powerful weapon again, this time it is 2 very powerful ninja swords. You can take me there tomorrow." Tsunade looked at Naoki's appearance and didn't know why she suddenly felt very angry now. After facing the rope tree with a chestnut on his head, he said, "I know. Let's go together tomorrow." Jiraiya, who was peeping with his butt in the open-air hot spring, also heard the news. He also decided to go and have a look tomorrow. After all, he was also curious about the ninja sword forged by Naraku. The next day, there was the Chunin exam arena. Although this time it was not the Chunin exam, the entire venue was packed with people. Naraku stood in the middle of the field. There were 2 ninja swords on the table in front of Naraku. On the left and right sides of the center of the field are Roots and Anbu guarding the left and right sides respectively. On the stand, the Uchiha clan came the most. Almost all members of the clan who had opened Sharingan and students from the ninja school who had not opened Sharingan came. Uchiha Fugaku looked at Naraku with a little despair. With his own shallow knowledge, he saw that he would probably not be able to avenge his wife. He always felt that his importance in the eyes of his father was not as important as the Naraku in front of him. Not many people from the Hyuga clan came, just the clan leader and some people from the branch house. The others are the Sarutobi clan, the Shimura clan, the Inakacho clan, the Aburame clan, the Inazuka clan. The rest are all small families and some civilian ninjas. There were also some strong men with names like Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Hitaki Tsukumo. Naraku looked at the time, and then opened Shikai to talk about the specific abilities of his 2 ninja swords. The ninja sword on my left is called 1/Kill Murasama, and it belongs to the Taigu series, which I named myself. The main reason is to distinguish the vassals I forged before, such as Karichi Manji. The difference between Taigu and vassals is that Taigu often have higher requirements and matching degree for the owner of the weapon. When the ability and matching are not good enough, the weapon may even backfire on the owner. Of course, the result is that Taigu often have stronger abilities. Quote, listening to Naraku saying that the weapon this time was stronger than the long-famous Tong Yamanji, everyone on the stage began to discuss in a low voice. Naraku paused and continued. Murasama has the ability to kill with 1 strike. As long as he is cut by this knife, the poison will instantly spread all over the enemy's body, and the enemy will die instantly. As for the ninja sword March of the Dead Hachibo on my right, its main ability is to control the people killed by this sword through curses. It can control up to 8 corpse dolls. The dolls look the same as they were alive and can be manipulated freely, and will turn into an ordinary corpse after the ability is released. At the same time, These two swords have the common characteristics that I forge ninja swords, that is, they are strong and sharp. I won't go into details about some specific functions or defects. In fact, Murasama is a relatively powerful initial killing weapon. Hiding its function is more beneficial to the weapon, but Naraku can only sacrifice it for the sake of reputation. After listening to Naraku explain the ability of the ninja sword, the field was completely confused. After all, these two ninja swords are powerful. It can be said that any elite jonin who gets this ninja sword and makes good use of it can directly fight against cage-level experts. Naraku raised his palm and everyone fell silent. After all, he forged the sword. Everyone is still very considerate. I will choose a suitable owner for these two ninja swords later. If you can hold the Taigu for 3 seconds and the Taigu does not resist, then you have passed the preliminary assessment. One more thing. You are not allowed to use chakra. Naraku emphasizes the rules. Then let's start. After Sarutobi Hiruzen spoke as the leader, everyone began to start the experiment according to the pre-ordered sequence. The one in front was Danzo's route, and Naraku watched each masked person pass in front of him. There is no doubt that they are not very suitable. In fact, as long as there is a powerful chakra in the ninja world, it is possible to forcibly suppress the Taigu and use the Taigu. However, in Naraku's view, such use of the Taigu is completely unnecessary. This is like Kakashi's Sharingan, which seems useful but not recommended. Danzo looked at each individual failure and wondered if the Naraku in front of him was playing dirty tricks. Finally it was Danzo's turn. Danzo's whole face was dark. He was almost sure that Naraku was playing dirty tricks. But when he held the dead man and marched 8 rooms, he found that this Taigu did not resist him. Could it be that he was the legendary chosen one? Danzo's mood suddenly changed from anger to joy. And Naraku's raised eyebrows in surprise made Danzo confirm this. Naraku was really surprised. After all, the original owner of this knife was a short-haired and arrogant beautiful girl with black eyes. She was very considerate towards her comrades and cold-blooded towards her enemies. She valued the people around her. If her teammates were about to die, she would just chop them to death. Teammates so that teammates will not leave themselves. Naraku looked at Danzo. He has dark eyes, a paralyzed face, a tsundere. He was a pretty boy when he was young. He is very cold-blooded towards his enemies. He values the people around him and will never forget to use you as long as you are useful. Good guys, let's live together. Of course, Naraku actually doesn't quite understand the specific reason. After all, the Taigu cannot be looking for a master just based on a person's personality and preferences. It may just be Danzo's luck. Naraku watched Danzo holding the March of the Dead Hachifusa tightly and not letting go. Naraku felt helpless, but he didn't want to speak. So, he tried to signal to Danzo with his eyes, hoping that he would take the initiative to let go. However, the old guy Danzo didn't know whether he didn't see it or deliberately pretended not to see it, and he had no intention of letting go. Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was standing next to Naraku, was very dissatisfied when he saw this scene. He felt that Danzo had gone too far, and if this continued, it would delay the progress of subsequent inspections. Or is it that Danzo doesn't want others to try? So, he had to remind him loudly, "Duanzo, put down the knife. There are still people behind who need to be checked." Of course, Danzo understood that under the current circumstances, it was impossible for him to directly snatch the deceased marcher 8 rooms and leave the scene. Because that would only make him more embarrassed. After all, there were so many pairs of eyes staring at them. What's more, he didn't need to look back to guess that those Uchiha tribesmen must be looking at him with eyes full of malice and ridicule at this moment. Thinking of this, Danzo could only glare at Sarutobi Hiruzen fiercely to express his dissatisfaction. But in the end, he had no choice but to let go of his hand and carefully put the March of the Dead 8 rooms back on the table, as if it was an extremely precious treasure. With the end of Danzo's roots, the Uchiha clan followed. At this time, the Uchiha clan was eager to try. Even the leaders of the Hawks and Doves ordered everyone to try their best, and they must not hand over the 2 swords to foreigners easily. The first person to take the stage was Uchiha Min. Before Uchiha Min took the knife, Naraku made eye contact with him. Uchiha thought to himself, "This future grandson-in-law still knows how to be considerate of him, but I don't need to operate the small ninja sword in secret." After all, I, Uchiha, was also rolled out of a sword and gun, and my will is very strong. How can I not control a mere ninja sword? The first thing Uchiha picked up was the one-slash-killer Murasama, and then his whole expression instantly became solemn. It seemed that there was a terrifying power on the sword following his hand to attack him. If he had chakra, he could still try to suppress it, but if he was not allowed to use chakra, he was instantly deflected by the ninja sword. At this time, Uchiha realized that mastering these two ninja swords might not be that simple, but Uchiha was not disappointed. After all, there was another one. Presumably, his grandson-in-law has already done it for him, waiting for him to pick up another ninja sword and severely defeat the spirit of that old thief Shimura Danzo in the second round of selection. But when he picked up the March of the Dead Hachifu, he found that the ninja sword was still the same as before. Uchiha even felt that the ninja sword was about to blow him away. Uchiha took advantage of the gap and hurriedly winked at Naraku, but Naraku gave him a wishful look. Uchiha could only glare at Naraku and let go of the ninja sword, because he felt that if he didn't let go, it wouldn't simply be blown away. Naraku was also speechless. The look he gave you was telling you to just give it a try and don't force yourself. Why are you still glaring at me? You won't be glaring at me when the knife cuts you. Danzo felt that he was in a very happy mood today when he saw that even among the Uchiha clan, he was the most displeasing Uchiha. Danzo put down his sword, followed by Uchiha, and then the Sarutobi clan. Uchiha Makoto smiled sweetly at Naraku and said, "Naraku, can I master the ninja sword?" Naraku said to Uchiha Makoto affectionately, "Try it, if you can master it, that's fine. If you can't master it, I will forge a suitable weapon for you in the future and I will protect you." Makoto blushed immediately when Naraku said this. Seeing Uchiha getting furious, he said, "Good boy, you didn't save face for me just now, which made me lose face in front of the Danzo. Now you are blatantly dating my granddaughter. If I don't teach you a lesson later, my surname will not be Uchiha." Later, Uchiha Makoto went to try it, but left with a little disappointment. Behind them are Uchiha Kianyu and his son. This is the first time Naraku has seen this clan leader since his rebirth. It looks like Uchiha Fugaku grew up, both have thick nasolabial folds. Uchiha Kianyu also politely said to Naraku, "Anuzi has been offended many times before, please don't blame me." Naraku also said generously, "I won't get angry with children." But what Naraku is thinking is, "I'm sorry, I have to get the position of clan leader. Your son, just be a good boy for me and work hard to shine for Uchiha." Uchiha Chiangaku was speechless when he heard Naraku's answer. After all, if he remembered correctly, Naraku was several years younger than his son Fugaku. Naraku couldn't help but feel a little disappointed when he saw that there were fewer and fewer people in Uchiha's team. Could it be that even the mighty Uchiha couldn't find someone who fit these two ninja swords? Naraku originally thought that if the difference in the second round of the test was not too big, he would do it in secret. As a result, no one has passed the first round so far. Until a girl with long black hair and straight hair appeared at the end of the line, with a natural expression on her face. Naraku thought that this little girl might be suitable. As expected, the girl slowly picked up the ninja sword and killed Murasama with one slash. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. The one kill Murasama was firmly in her hand. There was a burst of quiet discussion in the audience. After all, Murasama's ability was obviously more impactful than Hachifang. Naraku asked the name of the girl in front of him. "What is your name? Stand next to me later." The girl replied in a soft voice, "My name is Uchiha." Then she put down the genin sword obediently and walked to Naraku's side. Uchiha's move of picking up the ninja sword made the Uchiha clan relax a little. Next it was Sarutobi Hiruzen and his Anbu's turn, but the result was disappointing. None of the Anbu were suitable to use this sword. In particular, Hiruzen Sarutobi himself came on stage to experiment, but found that it was not suitable. Danzo said to Hiruzen Sarutobi angrily, "Hiruzen, put down the sword. There are still people behind who need to be tested." The next experiment continued until the afternoon, during which many familiar people appeared on stage. For example, the sunset is really red and the Moonlight clan's Moonlight Rain. Later, even Tsunade and Jiraiya came up to try, but unfortunately they were not selected. What surprised Naraku the most was that Dai actually came, but Dai didn't come to ask for a knife, but asked Naraku to forge some auxiliary exercise equipment for him. Naturally, Naraku happily agreed. He still admired the spirit of Dai and his son. Hyuga was a little anxious when she saw some powerful civilian ninjas on the stage starting to test their swords. She was even afraid that the clan leader Hyuga Tianming would not let them try in the end. Since she was carved as a caged bird, she has become more and more desperate, but when she sees the ninja sword forged by Naraku, it seems that there is always a chance to change her destiny and escape from the cage. This made her eager to grasp this last illusory straw. Perhaps sensing Hyuga's eagerness, Hyuga Tianming said to some ninja students in the branch house, "You all go and try it, remember not to be rude." Naraku also saw Hyuga from the same period. In fact, according to Naraku's memory, this little girl was still a very cheerful and lovely girl before she was engraved with the caged bird. It's a pity that after carving the caged bird, he completely turned into a silent and transparent person. When Hyuga heard this, she relaxed a little and then became nervous again, because she was not sure whether she could fit the ninja sword. And even if it suits her, how can she break free from the prison? Until the people in front failed, Hyuga carefully picked up the one-cut kill Murasama, but it turned out that this ninja sword was not suitable for her at all. She was even more desperate until Hyuga picked up March of the Dead 8 rooms later. The same picture appeared, 1 second, 2 seconds and 3 seconds. The March of the Dead 8 rooms was still tightly held in the girl's hand, and the girl seemed unwilling to let go, holding the ninja sword tightly. Hyuga Tianming was also very troubled when he saw this scene. He originally wanted to confront the elders of the clan and win over the clan members to bring people from the branch house. He didn't expect this situation to occur, and what he was thinking about now was how to get rid of this pot. Hyuga Tianming is still telling himself in his heart that this is a necessary action to protect Hyuga Ya. Danzo next to him was almost overflowing with murderous aura. He originally thought that he was the only one in Konoha who was suitable for this taigu. Unexpectedly, an unexpected thing happened, and it was Hyuga's branch house. Danzo immediately decided that if this girl dared to perform better than him in the second round, would he kill her and grab the knife later or no. As the Konoha elder who is the leader of his family, he goes directly to Hyuga to ask for it. I think the Hyuga clan will not be so ignorant. Naraku also looked at Hyuga with great interest. He didn't expect that there were people in the Hyuga clan who were suitable for the taigu. He also thought that maybe he could get the Byakugan bloodline of the Hyuga clan through this. It's a pity that Danzo is watching with eager eyes. Naraku knows that no matter what, he can't let Hyuga pass the second round of assessment, otherwise it will be a problem whether Hyuga can see the sun the next day. Moreover, the Hyuga clan's tradition of being a tortoise will most likely directly force Hyuga to give up the imperial weapon. So he could only feel wronged by Hyuga first. Naraku said kindly to Hyuga, "Put down the taigu and stand next to me." Hyuga also stood next to Naraku obediently. Until the end, no second suitable person appeared. Naraku also felt that it was normal. He was very happy to be able to dig up 2 treasures this time. He did not expect that the unknown ninjas later had such special abilities. Naraku guessed that they might be annihilated by everyone or die directly in battle due to various reasons. Come on. And Naraku believed that people like this chosen by Taigu must have some kind of talent waiting for him to develop. There is no doubt that because there is no second person who can match Murasama, Uchiha has become the master of Murasama. Naraku solemnly handed Murasama, a one-kill sword, into Uchiha's hands. From now on, you will be the master of Murasama, and I hope you will become a powerful ninja. Uchiha also nodded blankly. Then Naraku said to Danzo and Hyuga, then you two will have a second round of competition. You will inject chakra into the Taigu Dead March 8 rooms. Whose taigu shines more dazzlingly? It's more suitable for March of the Dead 8 rooms. In fact, this is all Naraku's nonsense. In fact, the specific identification of compatibility is not based on the light after injecting chakra. Danzo picked up the March of the Dead 8 rooms and began to frantically pour chakra into it. The March of the Dead 8 chambers emits a powerful black light in his hands. Then Hyuga timidly picked up the ninja sword and slowly injected chakra into the ninja sword. Naraku looked at the darker but weaker light in Hyuga's hand and knew that the person in front of him was the most suitable person for the March of the Dead 8 rooms. Danzo burst out laughing after looking at the faint light of the March of the Dead 8 rooms in Hyuga's hands. Naraku also said to Danzo, "Danzo-sama, obviously you are more suitable for the March of the Dead 8 rooms." Naraku thought to himself that he would kill you after harvesting your wool anyway, so you should hold it for a while first. Before Naraku could finish speaking, Danzo snatched the March of the Dead 8 rooms from Hyuga's hand. Hyuga just felt a sense of loss, and comforted herself, "It doesn't matter, there is no hope in carving the caged bird, right?" Afterwards, Hyuga left the venue as if she had lost her soul and returned to the family team. Her steps staggered a little, as if she had lost all her strength, and her face was as pale as paper. After returning to the family team, Hyuga's body trembled slightly and her lips pursed unconsciously, as if she was trying to control her emotions. Later, Naraku began to explain the flaws and other abilities of the March of the Dead Hachifu to Danzo in detail. Hachifu has the characteristics of strong and sharp, and has a strong ability to conduct chakra. This is what I usually use when forging ninja swords. Not much to say about some features. In addition, the 8th room also has a strengthening effect on the chakra of a single attribute. The flaw of the 8 rooms is that the more corpses are manipulated during the activation of the 8 rooms, the more the host's ability will be reduced. In fact, suppressing the attributes of the original body will consume chakra and physical strength. So it's up to you to make your own decision. Quote, Danzo was shocked when he heard Naraku's words, but when he thought about it carefully, it didn't affect him very much. As long as he uses this ninja sword to kill a few powerful ninjas and let them cooperate, there is no need to take action himself. Next, Naraku asked about Uchiha's situation. One killed Murasama. This taigu is very dangerous. Even if you are the owner of the taigu, you will die suddenly if you are cut. So you must be careful. Is there anyone in your family who can teach you swordsmanship? Uchiha shook his head. Naraku also felt speechless. Why is the ninja world so short of parents? Think about all the members of Class 7, 4 people in a class plus Sai and Yamato behind them, these 6 people can make up a pair of parents. Naraku said seriously to Uchiha, "Just stay with me from now on, and I will teach you swordsmanship." Uchiha agreed after thinking for a while. Naraku was thinking about how he could train Uchiha to become his confidant. Naraku planned to try the feeding method later to see if he could get into the girl's heart. Of course, Naraku was also worried that someone would snatch the taigu, so he just wanted to stay with him and protect him. Naraku hasn't looked at his Shinigami Hall for a long time, but Naraku knows that the number of people in his Shinigami Hall is constantly rising. Naraku planned to take a look when he had time. When Naraku returned to his clan with Uchiha's scarlet color, he immediately saw the little old man Uchiha with a constipated expression. Seeing this, Naraku couldn't help but joked, "Then shall I leave?" Uchiha glared at Naraku, and then gave Uchiha a red look, signaling her to avoid it. Xiao Fai's left obediently, leaving space for the two of them. After Uchiha left, Uchiha responded, "Do you think I'm angry because I didn't get a ninja sword and was embarrassed in front of Danzo? Let me tell you, what I'm angry about is that you had already made preparations early. If you had told me from the beginning, we wouldn't have been so passive. However, you did a good job this time, not only successfully balancing the relationship between the family and the Hokage line, but also cleverly planting the seeds of a gap between Danzo and Hiruzen Sarutobi." Quote. Naraku scratched his head and said innocently, "Actually, I really never thought about planting any seeds for them." He murmured to himself that he just wanted the Uchiha clan to get the ninja sword. As for whether Danzo can get the 8th room, he doesn't care. Moreover, even if Danzo really gets the 8th house, he can still provide assistance to Naraku. If Danzo can even kill 10 or 8 shadow-level strongmen, he will definitely give Danzo a gift. Of course, when he is worthless or the value drops, Naraku will be the first to kill him. Who told Gudanzo to let his men drink tea at the root? This wave can only be called lying down and tasting courage. But would Danzo really go into battle and kill the enemy honestly? If Danzo targets the strong men in the village, especially those who are usually beyond his control, will he take action? What he is still curious about now is if Danzo kills the enemy with the 8th chamber, and then summons it from his Shinigami temple. Then the soul belongs to him and the body belongs to Danzo. They are all alive. But Naraku thought of something and said to Uchiha, I didn't expect that Danzo would be suitable for that ninja sword. Danzo has always been very prejudiced against Uchiha. We, Jonin of Uchiha, should pay attention later. Uchiha said meaningfully. I know what you are thinking. If Shimura Danzo dares to attack us Uchiha, we will take a group of ninja families to force the palace in front of Sarutobi Hiruzen. Let him depose Danzo. Even if Danzo didn't attack Uchiha, as long as he attacks any family or ninja in the village, he can do that. I didn't expect you to have such an opinion in politics at such a young age. Uchiha Naraku couldn't help but feel a little helpless when he heard this. Great Elder, please don't turn into a ghost. If you turn into a ghost again, I will almost become the pot shadow in the ninja world. Uchiha Naraku could only wave his hands to express that he didn't think so, and then left. Uchiha looked at Naraku's leaving back with a meaningful look, quite like, boy, I can see through your meaning. After Naraku returned to the room, he opened the Shinigami Palace. Seeing the crowded Shinigami temple inside, the heads of the people inside are basically Iwagakure's forehead protectors. It seems that Orochimaru and Iwagakure are still fighting fiercely recently. Hatake Tsukumo probably didn't go to the border recently, so all he killed were small miscellaneous fish. Those weird forehead protectors were probably killed by Hatake Tsukumo. If he remembered correctly, Hatake Tsukumo would have been doing regular tasks in the village until Sunagakure attacked. Naraku also quickly arranged for the brothers in the Shinigami temple to throw away their forehead protectors and other things and put on the black coat and mask he provided. Naraku looked at the two Jonin 30 and Chunin inside, and decided that from now on Jonin would be named Shang 1 Shang 2, while Chunin would not be named. As for Genin, Naraku is afraid that if they go up there, they will affect others. After all, not all Genin are at the Konoha 12 level. The genin in those small villages may not be as good as the students in the ninja school. Naraku looked at the skill lists of the two jonin and found that they were all regular Iwagakure ninjutsu, but these ninjutsu were still very suitable for control. From now on, he will have two more jonin level Iwa ninja guards. Naraku looked at the people in the Shinigami temple, and suddenly felt worried that usually when people die, their souls go to the underworld. The underworld is the territory of the Sage of Six Paths. Will this old man find out if he keeps recruiting people like this? However, Naraku doesn't have the means to deal with Sage of Six Paths yet, and judging from the way he doesn't show up until desperate situations in the original plot of Sage of Six Paths, there's a good chance he won't notice it. Besides, the souls of his two sons have not yet been reincarnated. Just after thinking about it, Naraku saw two unread notifications in the system interface and simply clicked on them. Byte. Orochimaru's use of Kurichimanji has reached the intermediate level, and his talent is copied and activated. Master of the Yamada no Jutsu disabled. Yama no Jutsu. An S-level forbidden technique, which uses biological transformation and ninjutsu methods to transform oneself into a white snake with 8 heads and tails. This technique Orochimaru has not been fully optimized yet, so it is in the preliminary stage. Byte. Orochimaru's use of Kurichimanji has reached an advanced level, and his talent is copied and activated. Psychic technique oil reincarnation disabled. Psychic technique. Reincarnation of the dead remaining. This is an alien psychic technique developed by second Hokage Senju Tobarama. It extracts a certain amount of the body of the deceased, uses the body of the living person as a container for the soul of the deceased, and then transfers the deceased to the other world. The soul is summoned from the pure land of the underworld to the present world. Let the soul of the deceased attach to the container and cover the body of the living with dust, thus transforming into the appearance of the deceased. The dead have the characteristics of immune to death and endless chakra. They can only be sealed or the original owner can lift the spell. Orochimaru has further optimized this technique, but the strength of the summoned dead will still be greatly weakened. Naraku looked at the two notifications and chose to accept them. Then a lot of knowledge about forbidden arts poured into Naraku's mind. Although these two ninjutsu are both forbidden arts, needless to say, the Yami no Jutsu, Naraku will definitely not be able to use it. Now Naraku finally understands why Orochimaru likes to lick his tongue in a circle later in the original plot, and his tongue is so big. The second filthy soil reincarnation, disabled, is somewhat useful to him, if he can get by Zetsu. But it's free anyway, and these two forbidden techniques contain a lot of knowledge about ordinary ninjutsu and sealing techniques. When a person has a high standing and a wide range of knowledge, it will be easy to master some basic ninjutsu. It is precisely because of this that Hiruzen Sarutobi became Dr. Ninjutsu. It is impossible for you to master the Great Fire Extinguisher, but not learn the art of Great Fireball. At this time, Naraku remembered Uchiha outside and didn't know where she had gone. When Naraku went out, he saw Uchiha Hisui waiting at the door, chatting with Uchiha Makoto. In fact, it was mainly Uchiha Makoto who was asking and Uchiha Hisui who was answering. Uchiha Makoto saw Naraku coming, pulled Naraku aside and said, "Nara, I feel like I can't keep up with you now. You used to be a little boy who needed my care. Now you are taller than me. Much higher. Regarding rewards, the higher the weapon mastery level, the more powerful you can get good rewards. It does not mean that the protagonist randomly throws a good knife to Uchiha Madara. If Uchiha Madara swings the knife a few times casually, the protagonist may get the Samsara Eye. So, not to mention that the protagonist can only draw a big guarantee." Looking at Naraku's eyes, Uchiha Makoto blushed and continued, "I just want to help you. I don't want to get further and further away from you." Naraku looked at the short but cute Uchiha Makoto and knew that he hadn't cared about her much recently. Since Uchiha Makoto has this idea, he will naturally not refuse it. Naraku said seriously to Uchiha Makoto, "Okay. Makoto, you can learn ninjutsu and sword skills with Hoshiki later. I will also have good things for you later, and I will forge a weapon for you." Uchiha Makoto blushed and nodded. Naraku handed each of them a toy knife, and then began to teach them Hatake knife skills. Naraku could only say to Hatake Sakumo, "I'm sorry, brother. The worst thing is that I will teach Kakashi well after he is born. Or I may help you keep your sister-in-law." Naraku felt that Hatake Miko probably died while giving birth to Kakashi. After all, when seeing her, she felt a little weak, and Hatake Miko seemed to be a housewife and did not go out to do tasks, so she probably did not die somewhere else. As for why Naraku gave Uchiha a Naraku brand toy knife, it was because he was really afraid that this little girl would die suddenly if Murasama didn't grasp it well. Or he killed Makoto next to him. At that time, he can only go to his Shinigami temple to see the two of them. Suddenly Naraku had a bold idea. Naraku gave himself a slap in the face. Shameless person. As Naraku spoke slowly, "The swordsmanship of our Uchiha clan is pretty good in Konoha, but I haven't learned much about it. I'm going to teach you another swordsmanship here. This swordsmanship is mainly used in the early stage. Moves." It was quite an experience to teach Naraku this time. After all, Naraku looked at Makoto with adoring eyes, and Uchiha next to him also made rapid progress. Naraku now understood why Murasama chose this ordinary-looking girl Ryo. After the teaching was completed, Naraku directly had a Poseidon-like dinner party with the two of them, and he was ready to completely mess it up. At worst, he will grow to 3 meters tall, and Makoto will grow to 2.5 meters tall. Mrs. Hachisha also has a unique charm, but it is very likely that she will not grow long. After all, Luffy eats it every day and has never seen him grow to 3 meters. It was also at this time that Naraku discovered that Uchiha especially loved barbecue, which made him feel very happy. After all, a cook who doesn't impress diners is not a good forger. At this time, in Danzo's root cell, Danzo was holding the 8th cell facing a group of prisoners in front of him. As Danzo raised the knife in his hand, prisoners fell down one by one in front of him. One of the prisoners shouted, "Danzo-sama. I really didn't mean it. I just peed in the grass. The crime will not lead to death." Danzo didn't talk nonsense. He used the wind release chakra to attach himself to the 8th room and face the prisoner in front of him with a knife. For Danzo, what happened to peeing on the grass? Why did you happen to pee on the base? How dare you say that you are not a spy? As for whether it might be a misunderstanding, Danzo could only say that the location of the route must not be known to the enemy, and everything is for Konoha. Soon, Danzo had killed 8 prisoners. Danzo turned his back to the prisoner and began to use the power of the 8th chamber. Soon a group of dead people stood up crookedly, and the wounds on the dead people's bodies were gradually healing. This wave of operations by Danzo scared the prisoners in the next cell to the point of peeing. Then, the dead man controlled by Danzo quickly rushed towards the prisoner next door, within a few minutes. The prisoners next door are all dead too. Danzo felt his own loss and found that if he only had Chunin, he could easily control it with the help of the 8th house. Not enough is not enough, this level of improvement to his strength is not great. So he needs to bring stronger ninjas under his control. As his thoughts drifted, Danzo's eyes revealed a dangerous meaning. Naraku, who had finished eating on the other side, left the two of them to practice swordsmanship on their own. Naraku accidentally glanced at the system. It seems that there is another notification. Bite. Shimura Danzo's use of March of the Dead 8 rooms has reached the primary level, and the talent is copied and activated. Host gains Wind Attribute Chakra Mastery. Okay, I got another attribute of chakra. The day when he masters all attribute chakra is getting closer. Naraku glanced at the Shinigami temple again and found that there were 16 more Chunin dressed as prisoners neatly inside. Why 16? Naraku had no idea that Danzo would be so creative, and even tested the puppet's combat power. Now Naraku is a little reluctant to kill Danzo so quickly. This guy is really brave. He can achieve such good results within 24 hours of getting the sword. Naraku is willing to give Danzo the honor of being the champion. Bite. Uchiha's utilization of 1/kill Murasama has reached the primary level, and the talent is copied and activated. Host gains the Thunder Attribute Chakra Mastery. Soon, good news came from Uchiha's side. What he brought to him was the Thunder Attribute Chakra that he needed most. Now he can finally make full use of the Hitaki sword technique. This also means that Naraku has completely become a full attribute. Naraku went directly outside and took out his toy knife, and used the Thunder Attribute Chakra to stimulate the body to strengthen the knife's attack, just for a moment. Naraku cut the big tree in front of him into 2 halves and randomly drew different patterns on several other trees. It can be said that Naraku's current strength has fully reached the Jonin level. As long as he further improves his swordsmanship experience and combat wisdom, he will soon reach the level of elite Jonin. Naraku decided to go to school early the next morning. He mainly wanted to get in touch with Hyuga inside the school. He felt that Hyuga was a young girl with great potential. It would be a pity if she was lost to everyone because of the previous knife selection incident. The second step is to take a look at Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina. These two people have amazing ninja talents, especially their spatial ability and reaction ability. The other one is Nine Tails Jinchuriki. Naraku has always wondered if there is a chance to get some Nine Tails chakra. He also used Shadow Clone to go to school before. But after a few days, I became more courageous and stopped using Shadow Clone. Maybe his former class teacher, Heiu Sarutobi, was also notified by Hiruzen Sarutobi, but he didn't come to care about him. Later, Naraku took Uchiha Makoto to school together. As for Uchiha, she had already graduated, and she seemed to have a bit of social anxiety and didn't like the school environment. When Naraku slowly walked into the classroom, the little kids in the classroom looked at Naraku curiously. After all, Naraku had changed so much. He has directly transformed from the little doubting he was before to a big brother who is 1.7 meters tall for a kid from ninja school. If Naraku hadn't looked like he was underage, they almost thought the teacher was here. That guy is so handsome. Is he a senior? Wow, his smile is so charming. No way, it's obviously cool, right? Following the girl's rainbow fart, Naraku sat directly where he usually sat. At this time, Hyuga and Uchiha recognized Naraku because they had been to the previous knife selection meeting. Naraku's good friend Namikaze Minato was still staring at Naraku. He felt that the person in front of him looked very much like Naraku. But his reason told him that it was impossible for anyone to grow up so fast. Naraku smiled and said to Namikaze Minato, "What? You don't recognize me? I'm Naraku." This immediately silenced Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina, especially the Uzumaki Kushina next to her. She had been proud of her height before, because little girls develop faster, so she has always been the tallest among the three. That's why she always puts herself in the position of the eldest sister. The three people who hadn't seen each other for a long time started communicating. Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina also listened with great interest. Especially when Naraku talked about the taigu he forged, stars almost appeared in the eyes of the two brats. While Naraku was bragging here, Sarutobi Heiau saw Naraku as if he saw a ghost. He thought Naraku was no longer interested in ninja school life. Unexpectedly, Naraku came to the classroom again after half a year. Sarutobi Heiau tried to adopt a more amiable attitude towards the great blacksmith of Konoha. As a result, he listened to Naraku, Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina whispering all the time, and didn't take him seriously at all. Finally, after enduring for half an hour, the three were asked to leave the classroom and let them go free. Naraku treated Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina to eat Poseidon as usual, and then handed them two Naraku brand toy knives. This is. Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina were very curious. Isn't this the taigu you forged? Naraku directly gave Uzumaki Kushina a chestnut and said, "What are you thinking? How can a ninja school student like you be qualified to use my taigu? Wait until you become Jonin. This is the conventional weapon I forged. Although it has no special abilities, it is far ahead in terms of sharpness and toughness, and it also strengthens the chakra attribute." Kushina Uzumaki wanted this ninja sword very much, but she could not simply let Naraku go and reward her with the big chestnuts she ate, so she could only say in a demonstrative manner, "Uchiha Naraku, 30 years to the east of the river, 30 years to the west of the river. Don't bully a poor girl. I, Uzumaki Kushina, will soon become Jonin. After all, I am going to be the Hokage's woman." Naraku didn't expect that Uzumaki Kushina actually learned this sentence. After thinking about it, she seems to be right, but it's a pity. Not to mention that because of his butterfly effect, Minato Namikaze has an additional rope tree as a competitor. By the time Minato Namikaze does Hokage, he may have abolished ninja. The village system has established an empire. So in order to satisfy Kushina Uzumaki's wish to be a Hokage woman, Naraku decided to sacrifice again and take Kushina Uzumaki in to prevent her from being able to fulfill her wish. Hyuga was walking alone in the ninja school. It seemed that because of being a caged bird or because of herself, this girl had become very withdrawn, and she liked to be alone even when eating. Hyuga found a secluded corner and sat down quietly, then took out his lunch box, a few large rice balls and a little miso soup, and ate it in big bites. It was at this time that Naraku found her. Hyuga looked at Naraku in front of her and suddenly blushed. After all, according to the habits of the ninja world, it seems that it is very indecent for women to eat too much. Naraku came up and fired fiercely. "Hyuga, have you given up?" Hyuga. "What, Naraku? Have you given up on escaping from the prison without getting the 8th room?" Hyuga's pupils trembled, and then she pretended to be calm and said, "I don't understand what you are talking about." Naraku said with a meaningful smile, "Even beasts know the value of freedom, let alone humans." Looking at the silent Hyuga, Naraku continued, "Actually, you are more suitable for the ninja sword of Hachifu, but I can't give Hachifu directly to you. But I'm not wrong, seeing that you seem to have given up your freedom and are willing to become a slave of the Hyuga clan. In the future, I will find another slave and give birth to a little slave, and dedicate everything I have to the clan for the rest of my life. I feel very happy just thinking about it. So are you going to do this?" At this time, Hyuga could no longer calm down under the words of Naraku, who broke the armor and struck hard again and again. This girl, who looked a little lonely, raised her head and looked directly at Naraku, with unshed tears in her eyes. Said, "Uchiha Naraku, what on earth are you going to do?" Naraku did not answer Hyuga's question, but stared at Hyuga's beautiful eyes seriously, and asked again, "Hyuga, are you willing to fight again for your freedom, personal destiny, or the fate of the branch house? And we will not rest until death." Hyuga said coldly, "Of course I will not give up. As long as there is even a 1% chance, I can easily give my life. But I am not for the so-called ridiculous branch house clan, but for me. Hyuga's freedom and dignity. Ask you one last time. What are you going to do?" Naraku was very satisfied with the fighting girl in front of him, and said to Hyuga, "I plan to create an organization that will change the ninja world in the future, so I need to restrain some powerful but not so stupid subordinates. As for you, you should work hard to become stronger now, just like a caterpillar trying to save nutrients before emerging from the cocoon and becoming a butterfly. I will help you complete the step of emerging from the cocoon and becoming a butterfly and gain freedom. But I need you to do things for me. Hyuga calmed down and said calmly, yes. As long as you help me get rid of this caged bird on my head, I can do anything for you. But Uchiha Naraku, if you cheated on me, I will die on you. Take a bite of meat. After saying that, Hyuga looked at Naraku's neck and lower body with dangerous eyes, and the little tiger teeth in his mouth were exposed. If Naraku hadn't been a little knowledgeable, the little brother would have been so frightened that he would have trembled. Naraku's evaluation of this can only be, a tiger's teeth hurt a human being. Naraku threw a toy knife and dried Poseidon to Hyuga and said, I don't have the bad taste to deceive you. Just practice hard, your opportunity will come soon. But please make sure you don't forget the oath you made today. After Hyuga took the toy knife from Naraku, she stared at Naraku blankly. Naraku, on the other hand, was thinking in his mind about how to deal with the caged bird for Hyuga. Should he give him the stone ghost face to make her stop being a human? Or should he help her get the 8th room and let her kill all the clan members? Or both? At the same time, in the Senju tribe, Tsunade was sending off her younger brother Naoki. Tsunade said with a little worry, Rose Tree, you must be careful after going to the battlefield. Naoki also said confidently, I will be careful. Don't forget, I also have the help of teacher Orochimaru and the evil ghost. As Naoshu spoke, he also raised the devil's haunting in his hand. At this time, the gems of the first generation necklace on the devil's haunting's transformation device also glowed with a faint green light. Tsunade also suppressed her worries. After all, if a child like Naoki wants to be a Hokage, he can't always cower behind his elders and not fight. Onoki's small figure is sitting on the office chair reviewing documents. Anbu is reporting to Onoki. Sir, 3rd generation, you asked us to find out information about Kurichimanji and the possible blacksmith behind him. That weapon was made by Uchiha Naraku of the Uchiha clan. It is said that this Naraku also made several ninja swords and other weapons that were stronger than Kurichimanji. Mainly several ninja swords and a pair of ninja swords that can transform into armor. We don't know the specific capabilities yet. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.